Alright, hi everybody. Hope you're doing well today on this Sunday. It's, 10:26 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And here we are. So we might get to a game later, but, I was watching as usual, Steve doing all his cool stuff on Action PC and things like that. And, yeah, just as we move along, all the content creators, and not only content creators, but everybody. And so you see up there in the tin that says how and why we play, replays versus what ifs. I'm hoping we can get some people in here and get some discussion going. Just very, very quickly, just a few kind of channel updates. Hope to, looking to get the Ned McGreevy League going a little sooner than expected. I'd like to actually get it going probably this week, next week, something like that. Ned McGreevy 2.0. We're continuing with the KCCL Dead Ball 19th Century Tournament, which seems to be engendering some interest, which is really good. And continuing with the Howie Shanks League. So I've passed off to MV, so he'll be doing the next series of games. And again, if we get no discussion in here, I'll just turn it into sort of a monologue, but I always like to have discussion. And I also have Discord up, so anybody who's a member of the Discord, if you'd like to come on mic and sort of talk, so that we're not always having, you just have to type feverishly or what have you, that's always an option as well. I don't know that our heavy lifting mod, Robbie Whitberg, will be in. I think he's kind of vanished somewhere, so may have to get this Discord address from somebody else. So we'll start with this thing. We all, no matter what game we play, whether it's the one up on the screen, out of the park baseball, Diamond Mine, anything. And again, this is really just confined to baseball, as don't be surprised. It's really just confined to baseball. What you do with the other sports may or may not apply, but it'd be kind of hard for me, not being a fan of those other sports, to kind of engage in those discussions. So I'd like to try to keep this at baseball. And I think baseball, I think not only just being a baseball only fan, but I think that baseball's a rich history, and I mean how far back it goes, what have you. And I think baseball, more than any other sport, kind of keeps on the perennial arguments: greatest team, greatest player, greatest World Series, greatest this, greatest that, worst this, worst that. Superlatives at each end, right? What is the apex? What is the nadir? What is all of that? And I think that there's that. Baseball also has sort of nostalgia that, of course, that obviously accompanies that history that I personally don't think the other games have. That baseball fans, and I'm around a lot of fans of other games, and I don't see that sort of same impassioned kind of argument. Who is the greatest center, forward, or what have you, whatever they have in those other sports. I mean, I don't hear that among them so much. What was the greatest Super Bowl? But among baseball fans, I think there's a special kind of passion for that. There really is, and I'm even noticing that, through the years that I've been doing my little channel here. That's really our little channel. Is, people will see a certain person in a lineup. Wow, that person shouldn't be in there. This person should be in there. Whatever. And yet, I'll go around to other channels because I like to support them. Ones that play the lesser sports. And I should hasten to add, when I call them lesser sports, I'm not slamming those channels. I just believe that those other games are far inferior to baseball. But we're not going to get into that. But I did want to put that up. So, and I would watch, and there were more talking about, oh, I was at this college game, or oh, I remember when this happened, but there was never the sense of, oh, well, this guy shouldn't be the forward for this basketball team, or this guy shouldn't be the center for this F-ball team, or what have you. But yet it never fails. Like, whether it seems like, I'm doing an all-time greats league on here, for instance, or a World Series or whatever. And I hope to do some All-Star games on here eventually, some past All-Star games. And even way back when I tried some season replays, and it was kind of like, I don't know. So that gets to what we are here on the 10. And again, it looks like this is going to become more of a monologue, as I think people are, looking for a game. But I'm not sure that I really want to do that tonight. So we'll see. I'm just going to make a little announcement here in the Ned McGreevy League and see if anybody feels like joining. And if not, that's okay. We have one lurker back there who apparently doesn't like the video, so it's alright. Either way, so everybody plays things differently. I would, without doing a really detailed study, and I can't tell you that I actually have hard numbers and hard percentages. There's Dan. There's our lurker. How you doing, Dan? I would say that most of the content creators in here and most of the people that are involved in this YouTube sports gaming community tend more towards season replays than what ifs. And I will go on record as saying that while I prefer what ifs, I think that season replays are cool. I think they can be a lot of fun. And so what I want to just maybe talk about, and again, for those of you that might be joining in while the stream is going on, if you'd like to come on, Discord, ping me, whatever, and get on mic and let's talk, or you just want to type, feel free. Also, feel free to leave some comments, why you play what you play. I think that this subject probably is more germane to people who play digital baseball games than those who play cards and dice, although an argument can be made that certainly you could just take that pile of cards that you have, let's say an all-time great franchise set, and just redistribute the teams, do an amateur draft, or do a draft, and play out a what if. But so I tried more to focus on digital games, but it'd certainly be nice to have some cards and dice perspective, because I used to be a cards and dice player, but no more because of lack of room, and I don't like playing cards and dice against myself. That's why they invented computers. So Dan says, that is like watching a stream. I like season replays, majority of watching a what ifs. It's something different. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. So we look at a program, and probably I have the wrong one up right now, but I'm downloading a huge game from Steam. But I think the game I should have up here more is Out of the Park Baseball, only because Out of the Park Baseball comes with everything. Everything. With this one you've got to buy it all, but it's a great one. But I brought this up because I have a couple leagues here that I've set up that are purely what ifs, and this one will look, you're going to look at this and say, what's the deal with that? What are those city names? Are these a bunch of fictional players? Well, of course they're not, but I'll get into that. So within the digital format, I've even noticed that that people, for a large part, are doing season replays. Oh, I'm about to do a 1977 replay, which I think has to be one of the most replayed seasons in baseball history, or gaming history, what have you. I'm doing 1986, I'm doing 1975, I'm doing 2016, I'm doing last year, whatever, 1945. And I think it's cool. Hey, there's Aaron Reed. But so I'm wondering why that is. So what makes season replays more popular, it seems, than what ifs? I know that Al Red Sox fan likes to do some what ifs. Steve Tate, obviously. I mean, because with all the franchise files and things that he's created, not only for Action PC Baseball, but also for F-ball, basketball, hockey, that he tends to like them. And again, I say again, there's nothing wrong with season replays whatsoever. I'm actually doing two things that maybe, one is a season replay I'm thinking about doing on the channel, 1934, only because nobody does 1930s replays, and I think that's the decade of baseball that gets that kind of gets ignored a little bit. So, but a little more on that later, what that's going to be. But 1934, you can guess, right? St. Louis Cardinals replay. I think it'll be a lot of fun just to, I don't know, get immersed. But Is it that? Is it nostalgia? Is it familiarity? Hey, there's John DFW. So, is doing a season replay for you, is it about reliving the past? Is it about seeing what might have happened had you given the job of the manager of whatever team you chose to pilot for that season, or even over multiple seasons if you do that kind of thing, which is, again, something that's more an out-of-the-park thing than an action PC thing? Is it about, maybe for some, I would say, maybe for some, and maybe partially included, myself included, it's because we've seen so much done to this game that we love so much that by doing season replays, we can go back to a time when baseball was more pure, and I think we might define purity by degrees. You can go totally hardcore, where there should be 16 franchises, no DH, and the two best teams go to the World Series, no playoffs, all the way up to people that love what's going on with pitch clocks and the batter clocks and extended postseason and things like that, interleague play. So we run the gamut, we run the spectrum as fans because we all love baseball. We all love baseball. For some of you, I should say, it's your favorite sport. For me, it is the only sport I follow. I've mentioned on, broadcasts that I like boxing, but, what I'm waiting for from Anthony is, his board game, his baseball game. I'll do boxing, I'll watch boxing movies, but I don't have a love for those games. I don't. All the other games could vanish from the face of the earth and leave baseball, and I would be happy as a clam. Baseball would be the last one. But what is it? I mean, that's the kind of discussion. And then we get into the what-if part a little bit later on in this little broadcast or whatever, and I'm probably picking a very bad night to do this on a Sunday. I get it. So Aaron brings in the first comment in terms of, Dan's comment was good, but saying why he likes this channel, and it means a lot to me, Dan, it really does. Aaron says he does replays just for the fun of it. The schedules aren't exactly accurate, but it's close enough. So, Aaron, when you say the fun of it, what fun is that in? Because for you always talk about 1990, right? That's your season, Cincinnati Reds, and all that kind of stuff. You know what happened. So is it a chance for you to relive that past? Is it a chance for you to alter that past? Dan says, I think some play season replays because they can play them as played. Yep, a lot less work involved. Just play the games. Playing what-ifs involved more setup and more during the seasons. Valid point. Absolutely. Valid points. And again, I'm not, while I said at the beginning, I tend to favor what-ifs. I think there's certainly values in replays. My perspective on season replays is first and foremost is an educator. Season replays are educative. I think that these baseball games, and we did a broadcast on this channel probably a year or so ago, how these games help as sort of adjuncts to doing baseball research. Whether you're doing it online and you're burying yourself in Baseball Reference and StatHead and Baseball Almanacs and Saber and everything like that, or you're reading books, or you're doing both. I'm reading a book right now, Tales from the Deadball Era, which is really, it's kind of a changer for me, and looking at how the Deadball, what made the Deadball Era probably the most unique era in baseball, and why that was, and how well that era is simulated, whether you're doing a what-if in that era, as we are doing in the KCCL, and as we will be doing once again in Ned McGreevy. But regardless, by playing in those times, I'm learning more. Just like one of the reasons I'm thinking about a 1934 replay of the St. Louis Cardinals Gas House Gang, is I know a lot about them, but I want to go visit, what were the Boston Braves doing in 1934, or, my own Pittsburgh Pirates. And also, Out of the Park will allow me to, as Action PC would if I wanted to do 1934 on here, to see, okay, how are the Tigers doing? How are those teams doing? So to really get immersed in 1930s baseball would be a lot of fun for me. Aaron says to relive the past. Okay, so in an alternate way, so he wasn't really watching baseball fully until probably 2001 or 2002. He says, but I get a feel for what the game was like at a time when you were born. Nice. All right, good. John says, I do season replays to see if I can get a better record than the in real life team. That's my goal and determines whether I win or lose. Also to see how other historical teams and players perform. So yeah, John, I definitely get that. I definitely get that. And I think that you and I would certainly agree. I think the three of us, I mean, we've got Dan, Aaron, and John talking. We have 6 hanging in. Please feel free to chime in, guys. And again, if any of you are in the Discord and you feel like coming on mic and talking, it'd be great. So he said, Aaron continues, he says, I started appreciating baseball more when I would read about players of a certain era, Ty Cobb, Hank Greenberg, Bob Gibson, Nolan Ryan. Of course, teams like the Big Red Machine, Murderers Row, and again, I'm adding the Gas House Gang, and the We Are Family, Pirates, the Hitless Wonder, Chicago Cubs, or Chicago White Sox, I'm sorry, of 1906. Obviously, the 1919 Black Sox, and on and on and on and on and on. So, I mean, it makes sense. I get it. So that is cool, is to learn more about that. And so for Aaron, it's learning about baseball sort of in his lifetime, but not baseball when he was cognizant. For John, he takes it as a challenge, right? And wants to see how they performed. And let's face it, I mean, while we have things like classic baseball on the radio, we don't have complete seasons on there yet. I mean, I would say eventually they're probably going to have every damn baseball game ever if they can get rights to it. And, will that make season replays a moot point? Absolutely not, because you still have that challenge. And I like that. So that's cool. And I mean, I wish we had a larger sample size in here, because that is the thing. And while I said I wouldn't bring in cards and dice so much, I think I should, just as an example. So Robert, RJO Network, one of my favorite channels in our sports gaming community, is strictly a season replayer. Strictly. And he's going to be doing 2016 starting in July. So it's coming up in a couple weeks. And it does cards and dice, but that's irrelevant. I'm guessing that Robert owns enough seasons for Inside Pitch that he could, unless again, I don't know how, if those cards are just normalized to that season or what have you. That I don't know. I do know that if you play replay baseball, they do have like all-time franchise greats and things like that. But now you're getting into a what if. But is it a possibility? Let's say that somebody who's a cards and dice player and owns, a ton of seasons, could you just put all the first basemen, right? So you have all, I don't know how you do the draft, right? But you have like 9 piles or 9 things, and you're I don't know, randomly choosing. I don't know how you would do that. But and I've noticed that I mean, people absolutely just flock to Robert's games. I think it's awesome. I think it is. It's just what is the attraction to season replays, and I'm really getting a lot of I'm getting nice feedback from you guys. I really appreciate it. So Aaron, okay, yeah, so all right, so given all that, just as a way of illustration, this is something I set up months ago. Aaron says you're on his Discord. We'll get you on in a little bit, Aaron. Yeah, we'll get you on in a little bit, because I want to kind of lay more of a groundwork here. So you're seeing real players over here at Fake Cities. What I did is I had, and it was actually by way of an instructional video, but it was really thinking about this, that why, like, it basically this is just 1 second here. I just need to check something. Just a second, guys. Just getting this message off to family here. I'm sorry. And I hate texting with a passion. Alright. So, there's World's Worst Gamer. Big Clues joined us. Nice, nice, nice. Says I enjoy, Big Clue says, I enjoy a season replay as a what if, particularly for seasons where the best team didn't win at all. So, 1989, 1985, 2008. Because of the playoff format, I have no interest in an exact replica of what really happened. I can read the history books for that. I don't want the exact outcome when I play something. Yeah, I've had to have a just a smartphone because of jobs, things like that. It is what it is. So anyhow, this was something that I did as kind of an instructional video because somebody wanted to know how to do drafts. So what I did is I just created some team names, right, cities, team names, what have you. And boy, when you're streaming, downloading a huge game and doing this, it's all crazy. So you can see there's no Salt Lake Bees, whatever. Okay, I just know that that's the name of... But here, I mean, we know Orlando Cepeda, Antonio Oliva, and Tommy Agee, right? You know, they were never in the same lineup together or whatever. But I wanted to, I defined this as from 1960 to 1970, and I assigned 10 AI managers. I didn't even mess with the AI, to tell you the truth, and just let the computer do a draft. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to go into uncharted territory, a true what if, and play with this, and also to teach myself about 1960s baseball, but more about the best of that time. And some of these guys aren't the best, but to make the cut on this, not too bad. And so I thought, and the more I thought about it, and then I thought that many of us that are playing, play digital games, and I'm not going to be able to do a lot of moving around here until this thing is done downloading. Again, here's, look, you got the toy cannon here. You know, Rocky Colavito, Jim Gentile, Ron Santo, Don Clendena, Rico Petty, right? All these things all mixed up. And this was just created, and I could do this again, and it's not going to draft these same players. Or, you know, maybe I can set up different things, and so many what-ifs, just out of a decade. And two, to Big Clue's point, Action PC offers an alternate reality mode, which really polarized the first version, the people in the first version of Shanks, you know, and there were people that, and I think it's really cool because we ran a bunch of simulations, and it is wildly different, and Dave Dave Cook is like, yeah, this is what it's going to do. It is going to be very different. And so for some people going into a season, and we'll just use 1975, well, is Johnny Bench going to perform as he did? Is the Red Machine going to be that amazing? Because in real life, right, when a manager comes into it, let's look at the Pirates, and we'll get back to the 1975 replay. Right now, the Pirates are a half game in first place in the National League Central. Nobody expected that in June. Most of all, me. I didn't expect it. Derek Shelton, the field manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates, certainly didn't know. I don't think that the Texas Rangers, with their crazy start, expected where they are, though they have more money, they have a better team than the Pirates. But the idea of alternate reality mode is you're kind of going into it as if you would be going into a new season. So there is, I think that what's fun about that, about the alternate reality mode in this, is you could take a season but set alternate universe. I think it's actually called alternate universe. Let me see what that's called here. Yeah, alternate reality mode, so I did have it right. So just like a real manager, you don't know how players are going to perform. And I find that neat. So you get the best of both worlds, a what if and a replay. Dan Burke says that he agrees with Big Clue on his point. He says, funny because some of these game engines are so good you can play through on lineups, etc., and still get similar results. There's Sports Time Machine. Welcoming him now. Mike, who has an awesome channel. Mike does a lot of season replays. A lot of season replays. Again, good stuff. World's Gamer says, I think even without alternate universes, the results in the fantasy leagues you do have been wild, so nothing wrong with trying that now. Speaking of Pirates, congrats on Kutch's 2000th hit tonight. Yeah, we were, we Buccos fans are over the moon for Kutch. This is probably going to be his last Major League season, and so glad, he's done so much for the team this year. Carlos Santana as well, but certainly Kutch. And welcome in, Cousin Ken. So then we get to what-if scenarios, which really, as Dan has already seen, that's really more of what this channel is about. I mean, the McGreevy League took something that's, that is really niche, and then taking it a step further and holding a draft league, and a lot of people admittedly were like, look, this is an area of baseball that I don't know a lot about, but I want to give it a go. It ended up being a pretty positive experience for most people, not for everyone. So, and doing something else here, which really, has been this KCCL tournament, which again is a big what if, right? We took teams, however many teams are in the tournament now, or how many there are left, but what we started out with was 10 or 12 teams, whatever it was, going as far back as 1884 up to 1919. And it's really been gratifying to see people tuning into it, and doing it. That's why I have some plans for McGreevy to really spice it up, make it more immersive, in terms of using more of the terminology of the day, but you'll see that when it comes up. But for me, how I look at a what if is, I look at it, this is going to sound very strange, as a season replay. But it's a season that I just put myself in this kind of gestalt, if you were, that this is a season that I'm going to go in and see what I can do with this lineup. And I want to know, because these games today, such as Out of the Park Baseball, Action PC, to name but two, allow us to normalize to different eras, to allow for endless experimentation. And I like that. And these are sophisticated enough that I can get a decent sense, at least decent, not a perfect sense. I don't think any of these are even perfect in their, when you do a season replay, let's face it. If you replay 1941, you're really not going to get 1941 as it was. As Big Clue stated so rightly, I think, so correctly, you can read the newspapers at the time. You can do SABR research. I've never seen a season replay where Joe DiMaggio has a 56-game hitting streak. I've never seen it. So you're not really getting 1941. So that kind of begs the question then, is it more toward Dan Burke's point, I think, of learning about the players, giving yourself a challenge, maybe taking a second-place team. Let's look at 1922, for instance. The St. Louis Browns finished one game back of the New York Yankees, right? Or what about the 1928 Philadelphia A's, who were so close? And then 1929 began the juggernaut. Back to 1975. What if you manage the Pirates and, the challenge is, okay, we're going to go all the way, and we're going to do to the Reds what the Reds actually did to us. So is it educational, as well as for Aaron, maybe some nostalgia, and for many nostalgia, and there's nothing wrong with it. Let me see. Dave Little is in here. Great to see you, Dave. So guys, some input is really, really good. Let me see. Big Clue says, well, first, Ken Castro says his physical rehab team is amazing. Firstly, back in Jim Noir. Way to go, cousin. We're pulling for you. You know that. Big Clue says, speaking of that kind of season replay, I made a franchise league with a draft of all the legend players in Super Mega Baseball 4. Loving it so far. There you are. Ken Castro says, I like What If more over the last 6 to 7 years. As played has lost its luster for him. It's interesting. All great things, because I'm really trying to get to the bottom of this, because there are folks that are dead on replay. And I know he's not here, but I know the Clinton Parks. And again, I speak kindly, though, but Clinton has gone so far in some of his projects to actually go into newspapers and look at the lineups of the day. And I remember when Clinton used to broadcast that he would actually substitute players at that point, make sure they got into that game, what have you, which is cool. Because we play what we love. But there seems to also be, and perhaps I'm mistaken, that there's this kind of replays versus what ifs. And I think one of the polarizing things, too, in the community, I know Ron Juckett has talked that he's not a big fan of, for instance, what you're going to see loading up here in a second, all-time great franchise leagues, because they're so loaded. And for me, I think, well, that to me is even more amazing. Not that I'm necessarily, are you going to get accuracy from this? No. Because each of these players, in terms of, so let's just pick one. Looking over here at Sports Time Machine, he's a Yankees fan, so let's pick the New York Yankees. All right. So, for instance, will Babe Ruth hit 40 home runs in this league? Probably not. Because this is based upon I did use the baseball history collection. So this is based upon what Babe Ruth faced in whatever peak career slice this is using. The Mick with 42 home runs. If I was actually using a Yankee team in here, if this wasn't an all-time franchise great, I don't expect these numbers. I don't. I really, really don't. Because Mickey Mantle never faced, Randy Johnson, and he never faced Pete Alexander, nor did he face Carl Hubble or Satchel Paige. So, well, actually, he may have faced Paige, actually. So, no, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have faced Paige. Never mind. But my point being is, so why don't I expect that? Well, Ron Juckett contends that, these teams are loaded, and he's right. They are loaded. Isn't that the challenge? It's like, okay, I'm going to bring my best, and I'm going to take on your best. And I think the fun thing about this type of what if is it's going to really stretch my managerial skills to say, okay, I'm bringing, and anyone, maybe not so much these younger franchises over here, although for an additional challenge would be fun. How about taking, the Anaheim Angels? And okay, I'm going to try to manage these guys at least into a winning record throughout a 154 game or 162 game season or what have you, against especially the original 16, which are just stacked. just absolutely stacked. And so my polite rebuttal to Ron would be, but I can bring my best against the best. And now it's not, well, geez, my outfield was lacking or my pitching was weak. It's down to, okay, how did I manage these teams and how did I do? And since I don't have an historical, right, I don't have a reference point to go on. It's me going into the unknown, and maybe that's why I love leagues like this. Why I love the Howie Shanks League, Ned McGreevy. And again, that being said, I have a 1934 replay that I'm probably going to be doing, partially on the channel. But there's another one here. Is this Decades Teams that I just got done? Yeah, as soon as this thing loads up. That I just did logos for and everything, and these are all split up by decade. So we'll just have a look at the 1940 Kiners there, for instance. Now let's get back to the chat. So Mike says 1920 what if the White Sox are not banned and Ray Chapman was never hit by the pitch. I would call that a conservative what if. Definitely a conservative what if. And I think interesting. I know that that was one of Robbie Wartburg's 30 projects or something that maybe he'll get back to someday. I know that he was doing that on Baseball for Windows. But yeah, that would be a neat what if, because that 1920 race in the American League was amazing. And until Landis dropped the hammer, it looked like the White Sox were going to repeat. So good one. Good one, Mike. I really like your example there, big time. Big Clue says, give you an example. Jucka did a season replay. He does as played. Yep, even the lineups. And he had a game where the Reds batted Concepcion in the number 4 spot. What the hell I thought? Yeah, I was looking through that Back to Baseball. You guys know I've talked about that site. And it was, I forget, it was like 1929, Philadelphia Athletics. I was looking at a game. They had Jimmy Fox batting 7th. I'm like, wow, Connie Mack, really? Jimmy Fox batting 7th? That's pretty amazing. Whatever Sparky was smoking that day, it's senseless to have done that. It was so frustrating. Yeah, just because it's the lineup they used that day. About accuracy from these, says World's Worst Gamer, the hitting needs to be toned down a bit to match what we see happen with the majority of Major League All-Star games. But let me ask you this, my friend. By what criteria should they be toned down? Yeah, but Fox was batting. I wish I could find the game. I was like, Jimmy Fox in the 7 slot? I mean, so fun fact, guys. In fact, quick tangent. It wouldn't be a Beatles Eternally thing if it wasn't a tangent. Jimmy Fox's rookie year was 1925. He didn't hit his first home run until 1927. So he was 2 years in the majors, not full seasons. But Fox didn't homer until 1927, his first time. So pretty cool. You can look it up. There's a neat thing on StatHead where you can track player stats and stuff like that. But my question, World's Worst Gamers, is it needs to be toned down, but by what criteria and why? So you say there's too much offense happening in these fantasy leagues at times. I could counter, and again, I'm not creating an argument. I'm creating a sort of discussion. I would counter that I think there's too much offense now, coming from maybe a perspective of the era of baseball that I tend to most favor, which for the most part were very low-scoring games in the dead ball era. I'm still not a fan of load the bases, hit the grand slam. I think it's fun occasionally, but everybody's waiting for the long ball. I think your point's valid, though. I do. So yeah, it's your own criteria, I think, and that's all right. Small ball goes a long way. What do you mean by that, Aaron? World's Worst Gamer, nobody's attacking you. I'm just saying that, like, even if the evidence points to that, is it too much? So, if you're doing something like this, how do you tone this down? Well, you can. Do you know one way to tone this down? If I wanted to take this whole thing, right, this whole what if of these decade leagues, all I have to do is normalize it to a year of low offense, and voila, it's done. So That's maybe an answer to your question, my friend. Chicks love the long ball, not dead ball. Is that right? Okay. There you go. So I'm going to try something here, and there's enough people in here for maybe a sample size. I know we have more lurkers and only one like, so I think most people just have this on in the background, which is fine. But I want to do a little poll here, if you don't mind. And again, these are, and I'm going to put it here. All right. And I'm going to ask you, and I just want everybody to just vote. Do you prefer replays or what ifs? I just want to get a sense. And again, I know if you're a YouTube creator, you know that we can't see who voted or how you voted. Just curious. So you're going to have two choices here. And maybe this will help get some discussion going. And maybe not. Who knows? All right. So there we go. All right. So you guys can go ahead and vote as we're talking. I'm going to leave this up for a little while as people sort of come in and out. Replays. So replays as in a season replay. It doesn't have to be your own lineups. Okay? But just say the very simple thing is I'm going to replay the 1920 or the 1975 season. Boom. Doesn't have to be. You can go as far as you want with it, maybe the way Ron Junket does, or the way maybe somebody else does that just kind of plays and lets the computer do it. So, and it's interesting how this is playing out right now, this vote. And there's PQ Ribber barking at us. Okay, Mike. So by answering that, it'd be nice to know. Like, so your answers both ways. What would it be? I'd really appreciate, Mike. And you come on, Mike. Again, anybody's on Discord, you want to come on and talk about this? I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So. Yeah, there is no right or wrong answer. I can't, however you voted, I can't see how you voted, so I cannot not count a vote, so it's alright. Yeah, some nights it's hot, PQ, some nights it's not. And ne'er the twain shall meet, my friend. Alright. Let this go for a little bit longer. I'm curious how Mike says he can answer this in both ways as far as a preference. And understand, my friends, that I'm not saying that, you know, you have to be solely on one side or another. Okay? It's just kind of like generally, what would you prefer, whether in your own projects or what you're watching. And I'm not doing this as research on this channel. I'm still going to do what I do. So if people voted 100% replays, I would still do what ifs. So this is more just to get some discussion going in the community about what do you know, why do you play, or how and why we play. Willsworth Gamer says he does replays generally but prefer fantasy, but the drafting for him for all the teams takes way too long. He's way too serious about all this feces. So his focus is all over. Oh, okay. Well, I get a PQ. East is east, west is west. It's a rare bird that drinks both Coke and Pepsi. Okay, so Mike is giving me an answer. He says 1920 and 1979 are two huge examples of what-if replays. 1920 because of the White Sox, and 1979, yep, Thurman Munson killed that year. Yep, if you play it out, he dies. If we play what if, you can save him, and yeah, right, save, and what impact that would have had. Certainly, that could have been the Pirates and Yankees in the World Series, not the Pirates and the Orioles. So I get that. And it isn't nice, right? Or Lyman Bostock, or you know, any of those. Addie Joss, let's go back into where Ken and I are comfortable too. Had Addie Joss not had tubercular meningitis? I like that answer. But what? And Mike, please get me from, this is, I mean, I love that people do both. I love that we have this thing that we can do both. I would say that you would approach what ifs a little bit more conservatively. Would that be a fair assessment? Dave Little says, in the words of the great Earl Reed, yep, enjoy whatever game you play in the fashion you choose to play it. Absolutely. I do agree with that, and while you guys know my position, I prefer what ifs. I think season replays are cool. I think they're fun. I just, I just want, this was something I just wanted to talk about, because looking at what you can do, and again, this is largely more digital baseball sim, I think, argument maybe than for cards and dice, because again, I don't know if you can mix cards and dice, like, so for Cousin Ken for example, he has that, the pre-expansion thing from APBA. Well, maybe, those, right, those, if they're not normalized to you or whatever, you could mix those up, and all of a sudden you've got, almost limitless possibilities with just that set. But digitally, with Out of the Park Baseball, you have every season there is. With Action PC, it's all based on what you've bought, and even if you have just the baseball history collection, you haven't bought seasons or anything, you still have crazy possibilities. I could do this whole what if and dump all these guys into a draft pool and create something completely different. But I guess maybe the follow-up question is if you do play digital baseball sims, does your preference for, say, doing season replays kind of preclude you from doing what ifs, or does your penchant for wanting to do what ifs, yours truly, preclude you from doing season replays? Richard, welcome to the channel. Richard Davis. Your name looks familiar to me. I think you've been in here before. But anyhow, welcome in. Mike says he'd rather play season replays, but he won't play 1979. Right. I want to know. So I just want to know, Ken. It's not about whether one thing's wrong or one thing's right. All due respect to Ron Junkett, I would never ever do an as played to that level ever. If I do this 1934 team, I'm letting I can set some lineups, but I'm not going to go back and look at the St. Louis Dispatch and see what the lineup was for 11 June 1934. I don't care, because even with those exact lineups, it's still not going to, that's not what I'm going for. So, but for Ron, that works, and you know what? Good on him. I think it's great. So it's not about, Ken, it's not about I'm saying, oh, this is wrong or this is right. But I am curious that when you have these, to borrow the tagline from Out of the Park Baseball, when you have these infinite baseball playgrounds, the way you approach them. Can you mix seasons and strat? Mike, you could answer this. It's been so long since I played Stratomatic baseball. Couldn't tell you. By the way, I'm just going to let this go because this poll is really interesting. I just see the name Richard here, Richard Dombrowski did send me a test patch for Dombrow baseball, and it's improved. It is definitely improved. So look for what that looks like maybe in the coming week or so. It's definitely a viable game. Yeah, nobody's fun is wrong for them. Yeah, well, Fortnite players, yeah, I agree with that. So, yeah, it is about the camaraderie. We're kind of having our little hot stove league. Cousin says, comment wasn't for me. It's back about 5 years ago. Some of this community crapped on your game choices. Oh, I remember that. I remember that very well. We don't need to mention names, but yes, I do remember that all too well, Cousin. Brian Downing, welcome in. He says he likes what ifs. For example, many managers during the divisional era still had leadoff hitters with crap on base percentage. You can still take the 1978 Bucks to the what if series simply by not batting Omar Moreno first. Nice touch. Thanks, Brian. I'm glad you can be here. PQ Ripper says this channel is an oasis for him when he can be here. Yeah, we all try to be nice in here. And we mostly do it. Yeah. All right. So here's the results. All right. So, and thank you. We got 13 votes. So it is replays 54% to what ifs 46%. So there you go. So at least other people in here, right? It's not an overwhelming, but it is a majority. A majority of people, you know, whatever the margin for error is, I guess that'd be World's Worst Gamers vote. But there we go. So replays tend to be more. So your vote should have been for replays. Okay. All right. So again, for replays. So for those of you, if you're here and if you don't want us, you know, it doesn't matter. There's no stigma here. Replays are cool as well. What attracts you? Well, here's my question, just generally, and you can even pretend you didn't vote for replays. I don't care. What would attract you? What attracts you more to a season replay than a what-if scenario? There's Henri, whom we haven't seen. Wow. No, man, I'm sorry. It must be just a little hot there. I'm moving it away a little bit. Usually I get that it's that it's not hot enough. So my apologies, Henri. Good to see you in here. So Ken says, World's Worst Gamer, my problem is you can say whatever you want about a game. Makes no difference to me, but those comments were personal. Yeah, they were personal. They were really nasty. And but we're not gonna. No need to dig all that up, but I remember it. Big Clue answers a voluptuous naked woman waiting at the end of the season replay would make it more attractive. Certainly hear that. All right. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we do play what we play and how we want to play it. And you know, I think it's great. I just wanted to kind of, again, get a little bit of discussion here. And I like what you know, what people have brought to this little discussion. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Dave, I would yeah. Definitely. As if I had voted as would, you know, I couldn't. It's my, you know, that would be my vote too. I definitely like what ifs. But to those who do replays, I think they're great. You know, it's fun. It's fun. But now I have another question about replays, though. How many here would you say, when you do season replays, how many of you will go into an era of baseball with which you're not terribly familiar? How about that? So Mike says, okay, as a YouTuber, you'll get more views doing as played as opposed to what ifs. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Well, that could very well be a valid point because it could be familiar. So PQ Ribber says that unfamiliar era replays are a good crash course. So think about your favorite era of baseball. Say your favorite era of baseball is seems to be a lot in the 1970s. Would you try something like a 1941 replay? Henri says, I avoid unfamiliar territory during replays. I find the lack of knowledge of role players for example is a fog of war for me, even though they can probably teach you something. Okay? All right. So it's that lack of knowledge that's problematic for Henri. Okay? 1941 was a great season. And 1940s baseball is, well, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not as strong as it as I am, other eras or other decades, what have you. Big Clue says, Mike's comment is intuitive because the season replay has greater ubiquity in terms of what we're familiar with. A what if is just one individual's pet project. Hard to find common interest in that. Okay, fair enough. World's Worst Gamer says, I really don't know the 1940s and haven't touched them. Main reason I didn't touch them is the quality of players in the leagues as it was wartime. Well, that's not exactly true. 1943 and 1944 were hit hard. But when you look at 1941, 1942 was a fine season. 45 was good. And then everything was back on track. 46, 47, 48, 49. So I will respectfully disagree with that assessment. I mean, World War II affected baseball really just for 2 years. And it was the worst, really, in 1943. By 1944, things were changing. But I don't think, 2 years out of 10. But again, this is not here to say you're wrong. I would just say I disagree with that. And Big Clue continues, and yet what I find to be far more interesting is to view follow than an as-played replay. Yeah, I think Mike's right that more people would. And again, Robert's channel is not much larger than that, but there's also other things too. Robert's a better broadcaster. I'm not in Egypt. I know that. Al Red Sox fan, whatever. These guys are better. I know that. So it's that does play into it, certainly. But I also think that maybe there is some sort of truth to the fact that it is a sort of pet project. Interesting. I do. I find that very interesting. Well, you can kind of look at the stats there, if you want there, World's Worst Gamer. But again, I'm really not going to get into a debate about the 1940s. We can do that for another night if you'd like. I'm pretty familiar with the 1940s decade, and I think there's a big myth about wartime baseball. So all projects are different than Roberts as played season out on the okay. So Big Clue says, on the other hand, to me, you being the only What If channel gives you an advantage of a half dozen replay channels who are competing with each other. And I'm not really a big player in this community, though, my friend. And I'm not trying to be. I really just want to get in touch with the community just to see what they like to do. And not only sort of like what you like in a channel, but what you do on your own, like your own projects, whether you're a person, you do something online, or you don't. You're rolling up games at home, what have you. It's how do you approach it? Oh, Big Clue, thanks. Check is in the mail, man. Yeah, everybody's projects are different, Mike. You're absolutely right. And yours are different than RGL and from Al Red Sox fan. I mean, everybody's different. I don't think we're carbon copies of one another, certainly. And I think that's what makes the community really fun, is the fact that we're not. I know that David Baseball Demos will pick a season, and he'll do a game of the week. And there's some comfort in that sort of knowing, hey, I'm going to tune into David. I'm not going to tune in to David Baseball Demos, and all of a sudden he's going to fire up out of the park baseball and bring in 20 teams from all over baseball and do something like that. I think people would be shocked if they came into my channel and I was doing a 1988 replay as played lineups. You'd be like, what? What? Big Clue says, Steve Trader's articles, the Hardball Times back in the day, inspired me to start doing what ifs, where I replay a season but with fictional transactions or non-transactions. Another way to do what ifs. Very nice, without going way overboard like this. Unleash says, I like trying to do the 87 and 87 Reds to first place, or 87 88 Reds, I'm sorry, to first place in the West. His advantage is that he's not betting on his own games. Ooh, well played. What if the Reds hadn't traded Frank Robinson for Milt Pappas? Okay. And Aaron Reed says, with MLB The Show, he likes to do exhibition games based on the schedule for the day. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I think we kind of, I don't know, what got me into this, again, is just to tout this amazing book. The other thing that sort of, I should say, prompted me is this phenomenal book. And I know, Mike, you said this is a favorite of yours. Now Taking the Field, baseball's all-time dream teams for all 30 franchises. This is all, I mean, this is like this could be a doctoral dissertation, this book. It's amazing. And if you haven't picked it up, even if you don't do all-time things in your projects or whatever, I strongly urge you to pick up this book. Maybe it might have you thinking about maybe doing some what ifs, but if nothing else, it may enlighten you, and you may argue with the book as to why certain players you feel should be considered an all-time great Tiger or Red Sox or Pirates or whatever. And you can pick it up pretty cheap on eBay. Great book. And my thanks to Kurt Berglund, who doesn't know me from Adam. I first learned about the book from him. What if the Mets hadn't traded Tom Seaver? Yep. Yeah, I don't like doppelganger stuff either. But Action PC Baseball has a way to deal with doppelgangers, as has Baseball for Windows. And so does Out of the Park Baseball, for that matter. You just got to do a little bit of extra work. Clinton Parks. What if the team the player originally signed with stayed with their teams their entire career? There's a fun what if. The name of the book is Now Taking the Field. I'll just type it in for you. By Tom Stone. It's an excellent book, World's Worst Gamer. I think you'd like it. And not only does he offer his own sort of deep statistical study. Oh, there, Big Clue already beat me to it. So, but he also, one of the other great books that deal with this subject is Rob Neyer's books. You know, his all-time lineups, what have you. And so Tom Stone addresses and agrees a lot with Rob Neyer, disagrees on other, but he also offers throughout history for each franchise different polls or what have you that might have been done in Sport Magazine, Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, what have you, through different times in baseball history of who was considered the greats of the franchises. So it's an inexhaustible resource, and it's a good read. It's written more it's written more like a dissertation, but it's well done. And if you're a baseball fan, it's a 600 and some page book. It's great. Go to your franchise, start with yours, or just start at the beginning. So, all right, guys. Well, I do appreciate it. I mean, at the end of the day, this really wasn't about trying to find a definitive answer. Hey, there's Mark Roberts. Yeah, I've seen it for cheaper than that. You might have to dig around a bit, but I know 25. I mean, Canadian. You guys get kind of the shaft, don't you? So okay. I mean, this was fun. And I really thank you guys. Again, this wasn't for me to gauge interest about changing up this channel. It wasn't about that. It's just a chance to get in touch with people and ask you, why do you prefer replays to crazy what-if scenarios or what have you, where Babe Ruth and Shohei Ohtani are on the same team. Big Clue says, I love the Tom included mention of Charlie Faber's book as one of his resources. Faber put out some fantastic books before he passed, and Baseball Writings was just one of them. Yeah, absolutely. Tom Stone is really... I really like how gracious he is in his referencing and discussing these other sources. And you never get the sense from him that he's saying, well, this guy's totally off base. This is wrong. This shouldn't be. So pick it up, guys. You can find it. It's an excellent book if you're a baseball fan, even if you don't do all this other stuff. But that being said, it's got some great depth charts, and the stuff you can create out of it is pretty spectacular. So that being said, guys, thank you. We can just call it here. We can hang out. We can talk. Whatever. Doesn't matter. John DFW says, Beatles, I'm doing an interesting out of the park project. You should tell you about it on Discord. Okay. Discord's open, so please feel free. I'd love to hear about it. Love to hear about it. I like projects. Yeah, we can hang. We can hang. Don't need to do a game. We just hang, talk baseball, talk whatever. Absolutely. Talking baseball is a good thing. So, Mike, just anybody, what do you... John wants to talk on Discord. But, guys, what are you rolling up? What are you doing? How's it going? Are you having fun? I know World's Worst Gamer, I don't want to get him too I don't want to get his blood boiling too much, but he was talking about the 1933 New York Giants. He's slogging through it, though. He's soldiering through it. Good on World's Worst Gamer. Or yeah, DM on Discord. Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely, John. Absolutely. So our Red Sox fan has had in the past an interesting approach to what if leagues. He would I forget what it did. He put Ted Williams was it one time on the 1962 Mets or something. So he'll take a couple players that shouldn't be on a team and puts them there, which is kind of fun. I like that's an interesting approach to what if as well. So Cousin Ken is playing again that franchise set from APA pre-expansion. And this is the Pittsburgh Pirates at Boston Braves. Lou Burdette against Deacon Philippe. Nice. Dave Little says he's doing a 1964 Major League Baseball tournament using a Swiss system. He's liking that approach. Nice. Good to know. World's Worst Gamer says he's in the middle of a series, Senators versus New York Yankee 1930 season game. Took first place and now beating the Senators yet again. Yep, first in war, first in peace, last in the American League, huh? Cool. Dave, are you still doing a lot of basketball? Steve was doing some really cool stuff with Action PC basketball today, so you might want to check the two broadcasts that he did. It's generally titled about Action PC, but there's a lot of emphasis on basketball, so you might want to check that out. Aaron Reed says he actually did his first video of Action PC baseball earlier in the week. Aaron, Joe Murray really needs your help. He'd asked you a question, and I don't know whether you answered it. He wanted to know whether you've had luck as far as finding the function in Action PC baseball to warm up pitchers in the bullpen. So it'd be nice for you two to kind of hook up, because you're both sort of navigating games in ways that the rest of us don't have to. Sports Time Machine says he's doing 1978 season replay restart, Bowling 78 tournament replay, and just started a 2002 Salt Lake Olympics replay using Roberto Chavi in the quick games. Nice. Clinton went to a play today. Dave Little says, haven't done basketball in a while. His Friday nights are occupied with a babysitting gig. All right. John giving us the basics here. Started with the year 2008. For the worst teams, you picked 3 good historical players to put on their team. Other teams, 2 players, 1 hitter and a pitcher teams. Teams above 500 gets 1 player. Nice. Oh, that's really, really cool. I like it. Another nice thing about this community is just how creative people are, for the most part, with what they do, and I think that's great. Love it. I really, really love it. So here's one. And I know World's Worst Gamer already was talking about this. Was there ever a situation for you, there had to be for any of you, where you had a project that you were really, really, really excited about, and you got into it, and you're like, why am I doing this? That it just lost its luster. It's like you get fired. It's like, I'm gonna do this, man. I love this season, let's say, or I love this idea, and then you're about 30 games in, and you're like, oh my God, I'd rather have a high colonic, a root canal, and listen to Vogon poetry simultaneously. It's automatically, Aaron, in Action PC Baseball. It's defaulted to no warm-ups, so you can, or maybe that's out of, no, I think it's already defaults to no warm-up. So PQ Ribber says the 1911 podcast that he started, he said, got through the postseason and lost all momentum. He also says, but it's probably due to lack of response as much as anything, expectations. John DFW continuing a bit about his project, saying, so the Cardinals have Musial, the Giants have Mason McCovey, the Yankees have 1960 Roger Maris. Big Clue says, yes, far too often. Gung-ho at first, but lose interest halfway through. Happened to me a couple years ago. I think it was 2021. For Cousin Ken, I was going to do an 1895 Cleveland Spiders replay. They were a damn fine team in the 1890s. Always coming up short, but except for those 1899 Spiders, they were good. And it just became like, I don't know whether it was because of using Diamond Mind, which, just doesn't ever seem to fly, or what it was. It was like, wow, what a great idea, but it maybe wasn't. So it's happened. So interesting. Good to know I'm not alone on that one either. I don't know. Somebody throw out a topic. Let's have some fun. We've gotten past the big one. I mean, it wasn't something to be settled at all. I mean, I respect both. I will say, again, out of respect, that I think that doing an as played and sticking to the lineups every day, and especially if you're going to do that for every team, even for the 16 franchises, could you imagine getting up and setting the lineups for every day of that game, of every day of the season? I could not do that. So my 1934 replay that I'll be doing occasionally on this channel, whatever lineups come up is what lineups come up. I am not going to worry about, geez, did Jack Rothrock, was he actually in the lineup that day for the Cardinals? I am not going to worry about it at all. Or did Burley Grimes pitch this day or whatever? So Big Clue says, my big project in 2022 was about the A's dynasty in the 70s, and the PC crashed and you couldn't recover it, just too deflated to start it over. Wow. That would hurt. That would hurt. Well, that's not about, like just giving up on a project. What a brilliant idea that is to explore the dynasties of teams, and certainly those A's in the 70s were nasty. Richard Davies says he cut his teeth on What Ifs in the mid-90s with Baseball for Windows, which is a game that's played a lot on this channel. With the Greatest Teams Volume 1 to 3 for several years, it's all had experience in. He hasn't played App in several years now. Okay. Clinton is asking somebody why somebody thinks he uses ball stat. I hope you're not asking me, Clinton, because I didn't. So this is the third. When I say ball stat, that's now the third time I've said that word. So it certainly wasn't me. Are you asking why do you think you use ball stat? Okay, because then you don't have to worry about the lineups. Okay. Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, that would work. Maybe Ron Juckett does the same thing. I don't know. Cool. That's nice. That's an elegant solution, isn't it? So Ken said, I began in 1965 American League replay, as played, got to 200 plus games and lost momentum, putting in lineups every single day. You guys remember Earl, Delaware Earl, and what he was trying to do with the 1980 Phillies. But Earl saw it all the way through. But Ken, I know you remember Clinton, and I know you remember it. I don't know how many other people were around the community at that time, but you guys remember that. You two remember that for sure. World's Worst Gamer says, I think I'd be doing more what ifs if I streamed on a YouTube channel. I want to offer people different things for entertainment. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, you remember too. It was boy, at the end, I mean, the community really rallied around him. But I know Earl was sort of, at times apologetic, at times quite frustrated in taking on a big project like that, and especially when it's a team that he's a big Phillies fan, so. And your 65 replay was every team. Wow. I know you've mentioned that, cousin. I didn't realize it was every team. That's huge. No, I guess he doesn't, Mike. He doesn't. I'm subscribed to his channel, but I haven't received a notification in ages. Then again, I haven't received a notification to your channel in ages either, and I subscribe. So I don't know whether YouTube is just saying whatever. I get notifications for Robert. I get them for Chris. I get them for Legends, but I don't get them from a lot of people. And I've got it set. Even though you do sports, I don't follow, Mike. I used to get notifications for them all the time, so I've got to get back and see what the hell YouTube is doing. But yeah, it seems that after that Earl, and then the other Earl, I don't even know what he's even doing. But regardless. All right, let's make it a little bit more positive. If you guys, okay, that'd be great. Please do, Mike. All right. Yeah, let's say you had to pick one project, and I know this is gonna be hard, but one project, and I don't care whether it's been cards, dice, digital, one, the other, but in your baseball gaming hobby career, what was your favorite project? And it can be season replay or what if. Right? You have to name one. Asteroid hurtling toward the Earth, and even though you don't want to save the Earth, you're tasked with doing so. What was your favorite? Just curious. Because I want to know. Yeah, we can do that. If John DFW would be willing to do that on the Ned McGreevy one, we definitely can do that. The other one, the Howie Shanks one, that's just strictly for Howie Shanks. But yeah, I mean, if John could do that, John's the owner of the Discord. If he would be kind enough to do so, I think that would absolutely be a fantastic idea, Mike. Bring the community together, and we don't miss each other's games. There's days I don't want to do a broadcast at all. I want to watch somebody else doing a game, And I like the way you broadcast games. I miss Clinton Parks doing broadcasts. I miss them. So, just curious if anybody has a favorite project that you've done. So much so that you'd even do it again. Okay, Ken says that his 1990 Phillies replay with Pursue the Pennant was among his best. Nice. Oh, man. Mike doing a tough one there. He says he almost finished the 1980 as played Mets replay. Had the Mets competing for the pennant. PQ of the Beatles podcast I'm just finishing. Nice. Great project. The Fabful. Big Clue says, my favorite would be Ultimate All-Time Greats League that included Negro, Cuban, and Japanese stars. Was based on a player's single best season and had all players normalized, so it was apples to apples. Nice. PQ Ribbon doing the Beatles album by album. Oof. Yeah, that's fine, John. Again, I don't know what that entails, and you are the owner, so it's just a channel that we would just need on there on the existing Discord. But my friend, don't worry about it. Like, it's not like, for right now, Mike, what you could do, since you technically a lot of your streams are Strat, maybe put things in, and you can go ahead and put in announcements in the Ned McGreevy League and also in other PC games. So that would be a way to do it for now until John can kindly make that channel. Aaron Reed says he's played APA before and have had to deal with doppelgangers. Yeah. Hard to deal with those. So Big Clue says, if you mean something we've done already, he says he's replayed 1908 after reading Crazy '08. The Pirates beat the Indians in the World Series. Yay! Go Bucks. What a great season. Oh, yeah. Well, John, the only reason I would say maybe not going down that route is you could be opening Pandora's box, because then it would become like every content creator is just going to come in and say, hey, I'm doing a game here, I'm doing a game there. And if you could just do one when you have the time, please, just content creators post here would be nice, or so, however you want to do the channel. One would suffice, John. I don't think we need one for MV, one for Steve, one for me, one for Mike, or anything like that. I don't think we need to do that, because I really don't want it to. I don't want to whore out what we've created here. I'll put it that way. I think it's, there's that line that I think would be just good enough, and people are welcome to join the Discord, and yeah, pimp your channel. Do it, man. That's cool. So thank you, John. When you get time, there's no rush. There really is no rush. It's a great idea from Mike, I think. World Source Gamer says his favorite all time would be doing a league with base teams included with Micro League Baseball. That's fun. Big Clue has an answer for the doppelganger, dude. He says, nonsense. Dealing with a doppelganger is easy. Once you drop the bastard to 0 hit points, he'll reveal his true alien nature when his corpse transforms. Oh my god. That's funny. Thanks, John. And again, your real life and your schedule, everything like that, supersedes anything that we're doing on here. But I would like to, we'll write back and forth in Discord, and I'd like to know more in depth about your project. I'm intrigued. I'm really, really intrigued. So I've got to tell you, and this was a community effort, that one of the things I'm proud of, even with the mistakes that were made, was the Ned McGreevy League. And the way that ended, you couldn't have scripted it better. And I'm kind of proud of that one, but I can't take credit for that alone. That was all the managers that were involved in that. And, Cousin Ken Castro, his encouragement in doing that. And it actually grew out of the failed 1895 Cleveland Spiders thing. So I thank you guys. And through that, I got to meet Steve and Big Clue and some people I probably would have never run into. MV, certainly. MV credits that Ned McGreevy League for kind of rekindling his love for baseball, and in an era he had no knowledge of. So mission accomplished for everybody who was part of Ned McGreevy, viewers, managers, and whatever. Thank you. I don't know the link to the damn Discord, Dave. I'm looking for how to find that Discord link, because Robbie, I think, has deserted us. So Might have to do the reverse rule for Robbie. So usually here, if you come in 3 times, you get a wrench. But I think for if you're a mod and you miss more than a few, maybe it's, yeah. So I need to find that because all this is coming to a channel. I don't know how to do this. I wish I could get... John, is there any way you could put that up there once, just the Discord link, and then I'll copy it and keep it on a notepad because I can never find it. I'd really, really like to be able to do that, and I used to depend on Robbie to do that, but Robbie's not around much anymore, so yeah. So Robbie, if you're listening, hopefully you'll come back soon, but if not, you know, it's all good, dude. You're busy. Oh, Clinton Parks is talking smack. He says, except Cousin Ken found his Waterloo there. One manager was able to defeat him easily. Ow. Big Clue says, McGreevy likes so much fun. Next version, I hope you can horn and grab a... Alright, thank you. So there's the link to our Discord, Dave. Please join. And again, it's, you know, you want to talk about when you're getting back into your basketball streams and stuff like that, please feel free. I mean, even F-ball posts are allowed. I mean, oh my God. It's really a community thing. Big Clue, you're welcome to take part in the next Ned McGreevy. We could certainly use your wisdom on it. So, new text document, and just put Discord link. Because there's been a couple people asking for it, and it's like, I don't know the exact link for it. But now, thanks to John, who's been amazing, oops, I can now do that when people want it. Thanks, John. Appreciate you so much. Let me explain to you in Latin, Bitus meus. Bitus meus. And there's the Ned McGreevy Discord. Let's get that one too. So yeah, so Ned McGreevy, we're actually I think I'm gonna restart it next week, at least lay the groundwork for it. Why wait till July? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Alright, cool. Thanks, John. Appreciate you so much. Nice, nice, nice. Nah, World's Worst Gamer. It's not that you're not allowed on the Discord. Things got a little bit ugly. You ever want to rejoin the Discord? It's easy enough to do, man. I mean, you made your feelings known about AI and stuff, and unfortunately, there's none of us in here that can do anything about AI. So, but that's in the past, man. You know. Definitely. Ken says no translated either. Went to Catholic school. Yeah, I served 9 years, Ken. I get ya. Biggest, thickest little brother. Oh, you wouldn't allow you. Okay. Because you're always welcome. I mean, that's why I'm so glad you wanted your wrench back. I wish we could do something about AI, but there you go. Maybe we can ask ChatGPT how to improve the AI of baseball games. And see what kind of interesting answers we get. So MV, or Big Clue says, as far as Ned McGreevy League goes, just can't sit idly by and watch MV luck into another pennant. How about it? So I wanted to ask you, Big Clue, I got to get Steve's ear on this. I can't seem to get you guys together at the same time. I'm beginning to think that you and Steve are one and the same person. For the end of Shanks, before there's a redraft, what would you guys think about a mini World Series like we did with McGreevy, a 3-game World Series? Rather than just, okay, yeah, so-and-so won the pennant, and now it's over. I think it'd be fun to have a little World Series. I just want to get your... Yeah, there's two of... It's the same Discord group, and then we have a third one, but that one's set up strictly for Howie Shanks, so... Yeah, well, we figured out, Ken, what was going on with Slide and Billy Hamilton. So in the next McGreevy League, if you get Slidin' Billy, he will get full playing time. We figured Steve Tate was able to figure out that problem. That the game wasn't looking for player quality, it was looking for real life usage, and that was the problem. So we shut that one down. It wasn't the AI at all, actually. Okay, so you say, yeah, hopefully Steve will be alright with it. Because I vote yes, but I suppose we should be unanimous and see what MV says. I think it'd be great. And since 3 of us are broadcasting, of course, who knows that it'll go 3, but I can't think of anything else. You guys want to just talk about the baseball season in general right now? How much the changes have impact? I don't care. In the meantime, just vote for it unless he finishes 3rd or lower. Yeah, right? So, picking up a lot of baseball books recently. And one that I've actually set aside, and Baseball for Garden of Eden is such a great, great book. But I've actually set it aside, and I've been a real another page turner is this one from Mark Haflin. It's called Tales from the Dead Ball Era, and I've learned so much. Ed Roebuck is the only pitcher, for instance, in history to throw a doubleheader shutout. Isn't that amazing? I didn't know that until today. Big Ed Roebuck. The only pitcher to pitch a doubleheader, and he shut out the teams both games. That's weird stuff. But it's a great, great book with a lot of primary sources from players and others at the time. And it's not really a huge book, but it's a good read. So you might want to check it out. It's called Tales from the Dead Ball Era. And then the subtitle is Ty Cobb, Home Run Baker, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and the Wildest Times in Baseball History. And even for somebody that's studied dead ball for years and years and years and years, I'm learning a lot from this book. It's brilliant. Big Clue said, cool trivia. Guess what pitcher had 107 losses where teams scored exactly and only 1 run in each of those games? Yeah. As Dave Little says, Ellie De La Cruz, best thing to happen to Cincinnati baseball since 1990. Right now, yeah, this is Red Sox. I don't know that they suck, but yeah, they're not doing as. Pirates are playing well. Just wish the fan base would show up to the ballpark. The Reds, no, not. You know what? I don't think so much that Clinton. I wouldn't say that the Red Sox are playing badly so much as the Tampa Bay Rays are just a juggernaut. I mean, this team could go down in one sense, although they would have to do over a number of seasons. But as one of the great teams of baseball, they're just amazing. There was a game earlier in the season where the Yankees were down 8, or the Rays were down 8 runs to the Yankees, and came back and beat the Yankees. I mean, these guys are nuts. They're buzzsawing everybody. Mike is saying that Ellie De La Cruz is a beast. It's been an interesting baseball season. There's been some surprises. Certainly. I think the Rangers' hot start, and they seem to be no signs of letting up. I don't know what they did today, but let's check it out, man. So they lost to Tampa. They lost to Tampa Bay today, 7-3. But the Rangers are 41-23. I think they're for real. The Rangers are. I mean, that's a franchise I really don't care about. I don't dislike them, but I'm 2,000 miles away, so I think the Texas Rangers are for real this year. Shame about DeGrom, I guess, but yeah, they're playing great without him. Yeah, the only reason I say I don't care about them is because they're 2,000 miles away. I'm in Commonwealth of PA, and Pirates fan. forever and ever and ever. But I'm happy for the Rangers. I'm happy for you guys. See if you can get back to the World Series this year. You won't be playing the Cardinals unless they come on after the All-Star break. Tampa's road record isn't so hot. Well, but the thing is if you have a great winning season at home so far, and you're playing above 500 on the road, that's a tough team. So I don't really know. Oh, it's Walter Johnson. Big Clue answering his question earlier, and he says it was Walter Johnson. In 107 of his losses, the Senators only scored a single run. It's the all-time record for any pitcher to suffer that indignity. Ow. Whew. He says also to Dave, but the mind-blowing part, that's more than 50% more than the second most one-run losses by a pitcher. Yeah, John says if the Rays keep it up, they'll be playing most playoff games at home. I'm just what I'm hoping for. Again, I'm just enjoying this pirate ride while it lasts. But what I just want to see is everybody in the National League Central. And this is something. Big Clue is a Reds fan. I'm a Reds fan. Aaron's a Reds fan. Dave Little's a Reds fan, and I think that the lone Pirate fan in here and the three Reds fans, we can all come together and say that we hate Milwaukee, and I'd love to see those guys go on a skid. I'd love to see that happen. But, Milwaukee. World's Worst Gamer says, any chance on the channel you would do a quick draft for a tournament? I know some people might say there's lots of time spent just to get eliminated quickly, but generally people love the drafting anyway. Yeah, we can do that. That would be fun. Dave Little says he hates St. Louis more than he hates Milwaukee. Wow. Hey, Christopher, yes, I'm sorry, man, that this is like kind of pushing the limit. I should have a definite answer for you tomorrow as far as the 15th. Okay. Are there any Brewers fans outside the state of Wisconsin? Probably not. So welcome in Christopher Slovic. Here's a guy we were talking about what ifs. His Creators Cup too. His Creator Cup series in Out of the Park Baseball. That's like the biggest what if I've ever seen, and love it. It's riveting as hell, man. A lot of surprises in that one. So Christopher now back in the United States for a little bit. So hopefully going to get a chance to actually, Chris, maybe, and I get to meet up here in this part of the Commonwealth and go catch a minor league baseball game. John saying that run differential shows the Tampa Bay and Texas are by far the best teams in Major League Baseball. The National League is pretty weak outside of his Braves. All right, Dave, thank you very much for coming in. Guys, make sure to please subscribe to Dave Little's channel. One of the gentlemen in our community, all around good guy, absolutely. World's Worst Gamer and Sports Time Machine are predicting that the Rays bullpen will implode. Clinton Park says the Cardinals are the best fans in the majors. I've never seen a game in St. Louis yet. I know that I like Baltimore Oriole fans. At least when I've seen a couple games at Camden, they were pretty cool fans. I've heard that, but St. Louis is a baseball town, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think F-ball was what they used to do in St. Louis for something to do in the off season. And everybody I've ever met from St. Louis, you know, when they're, I don't know, is there still an F-ball team there? They were all about. It was just all about the Cardinals. So, Cards and Cubs fans. Yeah, I like the Cubs fans too. Went to see a Pirates game at Wrigley. But the Orioles fans were pretty. Yeah, really like the Orioles fans. Damn the Brewers. Exactly. Hate Milwaukee. They're obnoxious. Just obnoxious. the Blues in St. Louis Blues. So there's no F-ball anymore in St. Louis? Okay. I know there was for a while. Pirates fans have been growing on you this past year. Oh, the St. Louis Blues are a hockey team. Okay, thanks, Clinton. All right. So, talking about doing a quick draft for a tournament. You mean just to have some fun? Is that what you're talking about there, World's Worst Gamer? Just, in other words, you want me to create a league and we just draft from it just for shits and giggles but not do anything with it? We can do that. That's fine. Philadelphia fans are warm and loving. Geez, I don't know about that. I mean, so I would offer this in counterpoint, maybe yourself accepted, kind cousin. But the Pirates are doing well this year, and the Phillies fans, and there used to not be that cross Commonwealth rivalry between the Pirates and Phillies because the Pirates had a lot more good years than the Phillies when you look over the entire history. But there never was that. Pirates and Phillies fans, I guess, just didn't. Whatever. But this year, Phillies fans are being kind of really crappy for the most part that the Pirates are doing well. It's like, oh, come on, guys. Because every Pirate fan I knew was rooting for the Phillies last year in the World Series. So, anyhow. Big Clue says in Harvard has a world-class rowing team. Let's keep talking about a real sport. Thank you. Anybody doing any, as far as outside baseball gaming, you guys, anybody out there reading any books right now, or what are you researching maybe on Saber? I'm just curious what your baseball jam is right now with everybody. What's your jam, man? Hearing about the replays and stuff. I know Ken has got, yeah, the Cardinals do suck out loud this year, Aaron. Yes, they do. And then Aaron is close to blasphemy in the channel, but it's all right. We love you, Aaron. Let's get Aaron Reed on here for a little bit. Aaron, I'm gonna ping you up. Okay, so Clinton doing for the ponies. He'll have a flutter here and there. Reading Pace Handicapping by Jack Burrowhammer. So that's what Clinton's doing right now. Aaron, you want to come on mic for a little bit and talk some baseball? Let me know, man. Just say yes. Good. I know Ken is, I'm hoping once he's back in full recovery, he's going to return to his idea of doing the Spalding sort of goodwill tour, if you will, right? Taking baseball around the world back in the 1880s, was going to be doing training schedules, the whole thing. Looking forward to that when Ken is feeling he might want to return to that. I think that's going to be brilliant. So, Ban Johnson. How about Ban Johnson? As guilty as those who fixed the World Series? Let's put that question out there while Aaron considers whether he wants to be a radio star not killed by video here. Not as fancy as Al. Don't have webcams for everybody. So, and Al did a good Friends of the Channel last night. It was cool to hang out. Steve Tate was in there. So, good on you, Al. Always fun. I would say that Ban Johnson is ultimately as guilty. So there we go. That's for the dead ball fans out there and whatever. the Sarton methodology. Okay, this is ponies. So don't know much about the ponies. All right, not seeing a ping from Aaron, so kind of running out of steam here then. So we'll shut it down here. I'll finish this stogie and then we'll close it off. Thanks, guys, for really making this a fun little discussion. We hit it about 14 or 15, which for this little channel is pretty nice. Aaron says, "Alrighty, we'll hang with Aaron for about 10 minutes." All right, Aaron, I'm gonna hit you up here, man. I'm gonna hit up the Aaron. See if he picks up. Aaron Reed.
Hello.
Aaron Reed is on the air, gentlemen. The man of a
Right.
thousand voices. So go ahead. You might as well hit him with all of us. Seventh inning stretch time, Aaron. Hit us.
Let me hear ya. Good and wow.
Welcome in, Aaron. So, what are your
Don't
thoughts?
ask me to sing, please.
I believe me, I wasn't planning. So Aaron, what's your
Yes.
take on the baseball season this year? Are you liking it, hating
Look.
it?
Well, it's not so bad anymore because I have the now. I've got the MLB app on my PlayStation,
Uh huh.
so I can listen to. I usually prefer the radio feeded games
Sure.
because like I can go from like follow who's playing because it likes to tell me who's playing and what the score is, if at all,
Hmm.
or like who what the like what's going on. I can follow. You know, but because like if I try to listen, like let's say the TV broadcast of games,
Hmm.
it's especially where Cincinnati is, it's blacked out because I can pick them up on basic cable.
Okay.
But as far as the season goes, I it's like the Rays are just look out. That's all I can say. Same with the Pirates and the Rangers. I mean, they the Bucks skidded for a while, and now they're starting to pick it up again. I mean, it's June, and like you said, they're like game ahead in first right now. I don't know who had what was it ESPN tonight because I don't watch ESPN much anymore.
Hmm.
Um,
Half
but
game. We're half game
the
in first. Half game in first.
it's a half game
And
at
unless
first.
Oakland folded. Last time I checked, Oakland was beating Milwaukee. But go ahead. I'm going to check that score, please.
Oakland.
Go ahead.
Blech, don't get me started. I listened to a Cubs A's game earlier this year, and it was so quiet you could hear the players chattering on the field. I
In Oakland,
mean,
in
it
Oakland,
was.
yeah.
I mean, the only thing that lives there now is a possum.
And you know it's
Did you see
sad.
that?
You know,
Did you see that story on
I
the
did
there was
not.
a
Oh, we are a game
there
up.
was a
Ooh, yay! All right.
oh wow.
Yeah, cool.
Did you see that story where there's like a possum that lives in the Oakland A's press box?
No, I
Or
I did not see that.
I don't know if he lives there now, but like like it's a wonder they're moving to Las Vegas. I
Right.
mean, I don't know if it's gonna be within the year or not
No,
because
it's a couple
with
years.
so they're gonna have to play one more year and one
I
more
think
year
so
in
because I
Oakland.
think they're building that ballpark unless they're going to find some temporary place. But yeah, I mean it's becoming such a sad joke. So there's a possum living in the press box in the
That's
Coliseum.
what I heard. There's a
Wow.
Oakland. There's a yeah. They can't even fill the stands anymore. Like the lowest I've seen there is like up to like 1 to 3,000 spectators,
Yeah.
and they can't even. It's like it's so bad. I mean, they haven't made the playoffs in eons.
Oh, I know. I think they've won their
I mean,
17th game, and that's sad because we asked that question about great projects, and Big Clue was talking about that A's dynasty in the 70s. I mean, they have such a great. Yeah, they've won their 17th game today, so they took the series from the Brewers. what a great franchise the A's were, and to see what's happening there. Um, it's sad.
World World's Most Gamer. Oh, one, two,
Yeah,
three.
yeah. But it's
So
sad what's happening with the A's. This is a a
a
great
long,
baseball franchise,
yeah,
man.
yeah. They've been in Oakland since at least the 70s when
So
they
they
had
right
those
they started
dominate
they went from Philadelphia to Kansas City to
to
Oakland.
Oakland.
Now they're going to Las Vegas.
Now they're going to Vegas. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if it's like you. I mean, like I was, and with a, because like I when I watch, like I said, when I listen to the MLB app and I listen to all these, it's because my brother and I are sharing. I can go ahead. I guess I can go ahead and say it. He's sharing the account with me, since I'm a baseball nut. Like he's a big time Guardians fan.
Hmm.
So, he gets to listen to say the the like a Guardians game whenever possible, and they're having a good year. I mean, it's not like they're not dominating, but they're having a good year.
Hmm.
But everybody's talking about, oh, last year Seattle became the Cinderella team that couldn't win,
Hmm.
despite the fact they were just a wild card team that made the playoffs and almost beat the Astros, but
Oh, last
couldn't get it
season,
done.
right? Yeah, I was rooting so
I
hard
mean,
for Seattle last year.
I'll tell you. So I remember like it was last night.
Hmm.
It was a Saturday, and I'm just sitting in my room watching YouTube videos, and my brother texted me on the phone. And he said, "Dude, turn it over to TBS." And I'm like, "Okay."
Hmm.
So I put it on there, and it was the Astros Mariners ALDS game, and they were at the time they were in the 17th inning. I'm like, good grief. I mean, like, '05 NLDS be damned. But still, I mean, like, it's always interesting when you get like two games in one. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just, but it was like and the crowd in the at Safeco was, I guess it's still Safeco,
Hmm.
was like they weren't exactly throwing crap. It was like, let's go Mariners. We're gonna come back next year and we're gonna be better. It's gonna be, like we're optimistic. We're not gonna piss and moan, oh, we should have won, blah 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 blah. We'll
Hmm.
be back.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like, that but I guess I haven't listened to a lot of the Reds recently, and De La Cruz is killing it over there.
And
I mean,
Dave Little saying he's the best thing that's happened to the Reds since 1990. Do you
hell
agree?
yeah.
Do you agree?
I mean, well, I mean, if you unless if you count the '95 squad that won the Central but lost to the Braves in the NLCS, and the '99 squad who just missed the playoffs,
Hmm.
and then the 2010 and 2012 teams that won the divisions in both years but lost to the Phillies and Giants respectively in the DS
Hmm.
the both years.
Hmm.
He is the best thing to come to grace Cincinnati since 1990. I mean, heck, the whole team in '90 was just dominant. I mean, you had, like, the pitching staff was unhittable at times.
Oh, your
The
90
offense
Reds were
was,
ridiculous. Yeah, they were
oh God,
ridiculous.
like, I
But
mean,
that being
like,
said, we should have beat
yeah.
the Pirates should have beat them though in the
Oh
and we
man,
didn't.
if had
We should
had
have.
they,
But Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla choked that entire series. We were in
oh man,
first
like,
place all season 1990. We should have beat you guys, but you had a great team in
had they done
1990.
had the Pirates beat the Reds in 1990 and played the A's in the World Series, that would have gone 7 games.
Yeah.
I guarantee it, because,
Oh, that 1990 World Series was boring, man. Oh my
oh
God.
man, like it's like, not unless you were at Riverfront Stadium.
Right.
I mean, if
Well, I
you were if
wasn't,
you
so.
were yeah, I mean, if you were, like, because I was just a baby at this point in my life, so
Hmm.
I was still, you know, but they used to, like, I remember being a kid and my dad would listen to, if we didn't want to listen to music, we would listen to like he'd flip through the dials until he found a sports game, whatever it is. And a lot of times it was baseball.
Hmm.
Now I didn't know what the hell baseball was from Eve to Adam. I
Hmm.
was so young. I'm just like a sitting in a car seat riding in a car going 50 miles and like 50 miles an hour,
Hmm.
listening to Marty and Joe on the radio. I'm like, who are these guys? It's like, but when I was a kid growing up, and I can tell you this because I did see a lot of baseball in the early '90s because it was occasionally on. Like my mom and dad would watch it. Like we got the Braves and we got the Red. Like we had the Reds for a while and then we lost them for a few years
Oh,
because
just want to say hi to
FS.
JT
Oh,
Dutch who came in. That's all. Hey JT, good to see you. I got
there he
Aaron.
is,
Yep.
Mr. Clutch Hitter himself.
Hmm.
Um, but the like we lost the Reds for a few years because FS Ohio blacked out for a while. But we got the Braves, and I remember we'd watch them play, and the Expos were running away with it in '94, and then the strike happened. It's like, now what do we do? I
Right.
mean, that's when we went to. I said it once before in the chat. That's when we went to like um, a Walmart and bought up every baseball game we could find. I mean, Hardball 3,
So the bug bit you
Batter.
hard. Yeah, the bug bit you hard.
Oh God, like video game wise, for we had a Super Nintendo growing up and a regular Nintendo, but we used to go and like rent games from Blockbuster, places like that, and freaking just like I remember being a kid and watching my brother and his friends playing Super Batter Up on the Super Nintendo,
Hmm.
and, and it's like, wait a minute, that's the actual. Mom would explain to me. She goes, "That's Barry Larkin." I'm like, "Who's Barry? Like,
Spirit lurking.
it's who's Barry? Like, I'm young. Who's Barry Larkin?" I'm like
Right.
4 years old,
Right.
Or I'll tell you a story. When I was little, I remember we just got my grandmother on my mom's side a Sega Genesis, so she could have Sega Channel.
Hmm.
And I remember when it first launched in '94, and I think we got it in '94. The first games that we played, I remember because one of the first games I remember we had was the original Sega Sports World Series Baseball, and I played that. I got to play a part of it. I'm like, and then my brother is like reading because it only said numbers. I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? And he would say Sanders, Blauser, because the default teams were the White Sox and Braves.
Right.
Sanders, Blauser, Gant. I'm like, and my mom's like, these are. He doesn't know who these guys are. I'm like, I don't know. I know much about baseball, but I was like 4 years old.
Hmm.
But it's like, but in I guess flashing forward to 2001, I went to my first minor league game, and I got a feel for what baseball was. It was like, it was it was like, okay, and they'd explain it to me gradually, but it's like, okay, this is this, that is that. Um, you know, base hit equals a man on base, or etc. And it wasn't like I wasn't you wasn't watching it on TV. It was live, and it was so interesting.
Oh, sure. Question for you.
I mean, yo,
So besides the Pirates and the Rangers and the Rays, so do you have
yeah,
any sort of thoughts on who do you think do you think there are going to be any teams that are going to be kind of mid to late season surprises coming down the stretch? I mean, we're not even at the All Star break, but let's say,
no,
I mean, anybody after the All Star break, do you see any surprises?
um, that's a good question,
I tried.
cause shit, like I, you know, don't catch every single game on the app every night because
Right.
every day because you want to listen to one team for so long before you want to listen to something else, and then all the other games are final. It's like because it says like replays are available 90 minutes after they air on
Oh, I
they
hate
they
that.
finish.
Oh my God, I hate
Oh
that.
my god,
Yep.
I like like and then but I would like I think the Braves might do well down the stretch. Of course,
Hmm.
I would say that because I grew up watching the Braves.
Hmm.
The Guardians might pick it up some more. The Tigers are just playing along. They're not really doing good or doing bad. They're just playing. I like to see them do well. Same with the
Hmm.
Twins. I like to
Yeah,
see
I like
maybe
the Twins for some. I mean, the Tigers are my favorite American League franchise, but there's always something about the Twins. I'm like always happy when those guys like do well. I don't know why. 1,500 miles from Minnesota, but it's like, you know what?
Minnesota.
Say, hey, the Twins, they're it's like a franchise. You can't really hate the Twins, can you?
You can't hate the Twins.
It's kind
No,
of like
I
Canadians. You
mean
can't hate Canadians. I don't know,
you
whatever.
can't hate Canadians even though they only have one baseball team
Oh,
now.
hey, what now? But I'll tell you what we have here though. Just came in the chat by way of Jamaica, London, Cardiff, and New
Ah,
Martinsville,
there
West
he
Virginia. The
is.
MV is
There's the most
in.
valuable.
There he is, the most valuable. I wanted to ask him whether that stands for 2005 or that's his initials or MV, whatever. 2005 in Roman numerals, but he'll probably never,
Oh,
or
that's what
1005. I
that
mean,
was.
or 1005. But I guess he'll never tell us. I guess he'll never tell us.
He doesn't. He doesn't. I mean, yeah, a fella from the UK with a baseball mind. Like a place
The
where,
Midnight
well,
Mangler. It's a big clue. Calls him the
midnight
Midnight
mangler.
Mangler.
The midnight mangler.
I
Well,
like
it's
it.
5 a.m. there in the UK right now, or close to it, if it ain't already. Let's see. Yeah, it's after 5 a.m. I think.
Yeah, he's 5 hour.
Um,
He's 5 hours ahead, so it's
four
5:20.
actually,
It's
not five yet.
well, it's
Well, they
12:27, so he's 5 hours ahead.
damn
It's 5:27 a.m. And MV says he
in
likes
the
most valuable, by the way.
most valuable.
It
I came
stands
up
for
with
his
that one, I
initials.
think,
Yep, there you are.
when we did the first iteration of the Shanks League, and we were doing draft night, and I we were just shooting the bullshit, and I said most valuable, and it stuck. Um,
JT Dutch says, um, it- so to my question to you, he says, as for who probably will go on a tear in the second half, he says, keep your eye on the Padres.
oh man, the Padre. I mean, they've done so good the past couple years. I mean, they've been beating it. Like it's like they've been beating everybody it's like when they get to the playoffs, it's like they just like the Mets beat them last year, and then or no, they beat the they beat weren't they a wild they were a wild card team last year, weren't they? I'm sure they were because the Dodgers won the
Hmm.
West again. You know, it's like it's like the teams that when I grew up, the teams you expected to win a lot were the Braves, the Yankees,
Hmm. The Dodgers.
the
Yeah, Dodgers.
Dodgers,
Yeah.
and maybe the Mariners if you were lucky, and the Indians. Maybe the Orioles might sneak in there once in a while,
Hmm.
but and now it's like it's kind of like I'll give you an example of how crazy the media can be at times. Opening day of this year, I was listening to ESPN, and I
Hmm.
don't know why. I heard Max Kellerman say the Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. You don't know that.
This year,
That's what he said. He said it
um,
on opening day. I'm like, dude, there's
you mean
161 games left
if
to
Tampa
go.
Bay implode? Well, again, that was just early in the season, so I can't knock the guy. But you're looking at it now. We're coming. What? We're about a month from
Almost,
mid-season.
yeah.
3 weeks to a month mid-season, and I don't know
Where's the
who's going to deal with that buzzsaw in the American League East. I mean,
Where's the
if
All Star game this year?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because
Somebody would know that, but I mean, like, there was at one point where everybody in the American League East was playing above 500.
oh man,
That's how crazy that division is.
Orioles, Red Sox, Yankees, Rays, and Blue Jays were all over five. Damn, that's insane. I mean, I think is the rule now everybody plays everybody at some point during the season.
Every yeah. So
That's stupid.
apparently, so the All-Star game is in Seattle. According to World's
Ah,
Worst Gamer, JT Dutch says Dodger manager Dave Roberts guaranteed a world championship last year, and they won one postseason game. It's a fool's errand to predict that sort of thing.
Yeah, you never get don't ever guarantee a World Series win because it's like somebody said this. I don't know who it was. He said whenever you could do win 162 games in the postseason in the regular season, but once the playoff time comes around and you lose, it doesn't matter. Or once playoff time comes around, that doesn't matter anymore. What you've done in the regular season is like as a team, it's like okay, squat. This
Hmm.
is the real deal now. Now you got to
Right.
win and not lose.
October
If you
baseball.
lose, yep, it's like I always said it. Nothing is more exhilarating than October baseball,
I agree
especially
with you.
when
Yeah.
your team is in it or you got an underdog. That's
Yeah.
like the every year seems to have that team of destiny. It's like this
Yep.
is our year. I mean, look at the I'm trying to think of a good destiny team. The Angels of '02. Um, everybody wrote them off, and they just kept on winning. They kept on coming
Hmm.
off the mat and winning. I
Yep.
mean, no one expected the Diamondbacks to beat the Yankees, and they stunned everybody. I
Hmm.
mean, it was like, and then the Marlins in '03. I mean, of course, they were riding off the curse of the Billy Goat. I mean,
Right.
and then I remember where I was when that happened. That we just come home from a function at our church.
Hmm.
I think it was right as that play had happened, and they were like, we put it on Fox and freaking like they were taking this guy out of the ballpark, and it was like, what happened?
Hmm.
Then we saw it was like they showed it on the news. It's like fan makes catch and Marlins score 8 runs in the inning. I'm like, oh, what's wrong with that?
Hmm.
I mean, like he did what any fan would do.
Hmm.
I mean, catch a ball, it's a foul ball. If a player's going for it and he cannot get to it, so what? Try again.
Hmm.
I mean, if it comes out that way, try again. I mean, or like if he caught another ball, give it to the kid. I mean, it's like, but then they just imploded on themselves. I mean, and then, or the '04 Red Sox, for example, I watched them and it was like they were the not again team. It's like they lost to the Yankees in '03, the damn Yankees in '03.
Hmm.
Yes, I said damn Yankees.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
That's that
then
was the name of a musical. So YouTube, we're
and the
talking about
movie,
musicals. Yes, absolutely based on the musical.
um,
I'm just
with
running
Jerry
Diamond Mind
Lewis.
while we're talking, so people have something to watch. So go ahead,
Yeah,
man. Keep going.
and but the Red Sox has not this year. We're not gonna go down so easily. And they did it was like, it was like I remember I was watching the game, I think it was 4 of the ALCS that year, and they were like it was tied and they kept on playing. I'm like, I gotta go to bed at some point because I got school in a couple back to go back to school in a couple of days.
Right.
And we had and then so I'm like, I'm just gonna go to bed and I'll find the news in the morning. And then turns out the both Sox won. I'm like, get out. Really?
Hmm.
And then the next day they played 18, 17, 18 innings. It was like, I'm like, who scripted this?
Uh huh.
And but it's baseball's not a scripted game. I mean, but then they just, they knocked off 4 straight and slaughtered the Cardinals in the World Series that year. I mean, I tell you who really deserved better props was the '05 Astros. I mean, they had a really solid team all around, and they can't even beat the they can't beat the White Sox just ran away with it in the American League that year, and I listened to a lot of the games, and it was, and when we went to that World Series game in '03, I mean, it was like Minute Maid it was packed. I mean, you couldn't, you know, you
Hmm.
couldn't like put another person there if you tried. I mean, it was like, I mean, every time it was like the battle of the Royal Rooters against the what other legion of fans they had, the cadets, I guess, if you wanted to call them that, space cadets, because like they would start chanting for White Sox, we would throw in the Astros chants, and it was just like, we hardly sat down the whole game. I mean, 13 or 14 innings it went, or maybe it's 15. It was one of those durations, but it went. I was telling it was me and my dad and my brother and my uncle, and
Hmm.
I was telling him, I said, there are people gonna probably calling in sick tomorrow from work because this game's going on so long.
Right.
I mean, but yeah, like this for this year, I don't really know who to expect. I mean, it's like I think it's going to be anybody's game this year. I mean, you got the Rays doing great, the Rangers doing great, the Pirates doing great,
Hmm.
and then the ride can only last so long, but yet you know um, I think with the whole thing of everybody having to play everybody once, at least once during the year is kind of dumb. I mean, why can't you stick to your own division? I
Yeah.
mean, it's like with I'll give you an example with APBA with APBA. I was doing a just for the hell of it, I was doing a '97 replay, and it was the same year they implemented interleague play, and crunching the numbers
Hmm.
is really tricky. I mean, you have to get it almost exactly because I had a season go from like April of a certain year to January of the next year.
Hmm.
I'm like, damn, Christmas baseball at Christmas time. Who'd have thunk it? But interleague play was like all over the place. I mean, it was like scattered all year around, and or it would go on for weeks until it ran out. They would start doing league play, but yet now with each league having 15 teams each, I understand why they're doing it year round, but still, I mean, if I was commissioner of baseball, and I've said this before,
Hmm.
I would do away with all of these crazy implemented rules. Well, I'm kind of a head scratcher on the DH,
Right.
honestly, because it does kind of keep the pitchers, healthy, I guess. They don't have to swing a bat. Um, but then again, the older, like, because I'm a '90s kid, I grew up in the time when nationally the pitcher always would bat. So,
Hmm.
and there were good hitting pitchers. I mean, look at Greg Maddux.
Sure.
I mean, he could hit a ball like, like you wouldn't believe. And um, then Randy Johnson could throw smoke and hit a ball pretty good. I mean,
Hmm.
when he was with the Diamondbacks. I mean, but now it's like that they've taken the bat out of the pitcher's hands permanently.
Babe
You
Ruth was a good
know,
hitting pitcher.
oh, Babe Ruth was a good
I
like
know, I know. I'm just messing with you, man. Of course.
I think I said I think I said this a few days ago on one of your streams. I said Babe Ruth is the kind of guy that can hit a home run without a bat. He could just go up there, look at the ball, and it would just fly.
Right.
That's how good he was. Or like
You
I
said
said this
JT
too. Like
Dusk talked about Carlos Zambrano, good hitting pitcher.
Zambrano was good. I mean, I was saying this too. Like, and when it comes to like contact in baseball, it's like when you can tell a ball's going to go because of a sound it makes off of the bat. I mean, in ML, I know when you get to it, MLB 23, the show, um, has better bat to ball sounds than 22. But 22 isn't really that. It's not really that bad. I mean, I mean, you're doing all these ATG playthroughs, and you've got like, I don't know, like, are these downloaded rosters or what?
For
Like
what?
the all-time the
No, this is
ATG teams
no,
are
no,
doing
no. These are this is a Diamond Mine product.
with the show.
What are you talking? I'm not playing the show. I'm doing Diamond Mine baseball.
Oh yeah, I know you are. I'm talking about when you do your MLB the show
Yeah, all those. Yeah, there's
all-time.
not an all-time greats roster that comes with that. You have to get those from the vault.
Oh, those are downloadables.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, just
I
go into the
got you.
vault. Yeah, you know how to do that, right? Yes.
I don't think so. I think I know where it's at, but I've not screwed with it yet. But that doesn't mean I won't
Right.
because
Just go up to create
um
when you on the
yeah, it's
MLB.
in the create
Create,
section.
go to the roster vault, download it, franchise, boom, start. Yeah, that's where you get those. I thought you were talking about this. I'm like, Diamond Mine. No, this is actually an official
Diamond Mine's the
product.
one that has no sound, right?
That yeah, that's why I'm doing it, so as not to interrupt you.
Oh,
So,
it's a
and besides,
silent
folks are
baseball
having
game.
fun watching it while they're listening to you, man.
It's a silent baseball game.
It is, but it's a superb baseball game. It's absolutely
I
superb.
believe you.
Yeah,
I
I mean
mean,
it's
it's kind of
it's
like
it's a tight engine. It's deep. You can do so much with Diamond Mine Baseball. Love it.
I'll tell
Um,
you what's a silent
but not
game.
not embraced by the not embraced by the community. Unfortunately, there's some fans in here of it, but I mean, it's what high praise for Diamond Mine Baseball is it's the only PC game that Ken Castro plays. He doesn't play. Yeah, he tried Action PC for like 2 weeks, I think, or something, and that was it. So he likes he's a Diamond Mine fan. He does like Diamond Mine.
Seeing like out of the park that you've been doing is really good too. I mean, I've had a chance to really get used to action and APA,
Hmm.
and it's like a wonder world almost. I mean, there's like so much of a rabbit hole that I could go down and play with like a certain decade of teams and be like, here's like the Big Red Machine, here's the Dodgers of the '80s, or here's the Braves of the '90s, or here's like all the like even a hybrid, because I did download the Modern All Stars disc, and
For which
that's a
game?
hybrid roster. AFA,
Oh, okay, yeah.
the one that, yeah, because like somebody had made the Modern All Stars. I think you recommended that website on your tutorial video you did earlier this year. Um, that had like
Oh,
they did
the
say that
Appa
has
that
some,
Appa zip site.
yeah, the zip site that had all
Yeah.
those seasons on it.
Hmm.
Well, the ones some of the ones you can't download because they're not there anymore. But the ones that you've got, like the '98 season, the 44 and 42, and you got the Modern All Stars, which was I thought was kind of cool because you had like a hybrid of players from decades that were on a certain team, and it was like you can mix them up a little bit because like I was seeing things like Joe Nuxall pitching to, say, Kirby Puckett or something like that. Well, for example, or like but like to play with, like, it's like Apple is so interesting because like I didn't think I'd be able to play it. And then it's like, wait, I could. It was like I started messing around. Like I can do this.
Hmm.
Name the teams, draft players, or like I was, for the heck of it, I was doing a replay one year or for a season. I forget which one. I think it might have been '94, and I had to acquire a catcher for Cincinnati because none of my catchers were available.
Hmm.
Oliver wasn't there, Dorsett wasn't there, and Taubensee wasn't there. So I had to get somebody to play. And luckily that wasn't hard to do because, I know how I'm starting to figure out how everything works.
Hmm.
But no, like it's it's just like to go down this rabbit hole of, you know, a deep dive of, oh my gosh, this is what, you know, it's the same, it plays the same as far as like control wise, but, you know, as far as like dimensions and rules are concerned, it's like a cornucopia almost. You just like, and like I said a while back, I've started to get more of appreciation for the the dead ball guys because of that, of
Good.
your KCCL stuff. I mean, it's like
Yay.
I, I want to be able to eventually be like, hey, yes, I'm a '90s kid. Yes, I'm a Reds fan. Yes, I grew up in the time in this. I'm sticking to my own decade, but I want to be able to. It's like I'd like to be able to venture out of that, way out of that, and go like by, because people used to tell me all the time, oh, the Cardinals were a great team in the '60s, and so were the Tigers.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like the '60s was a good decade for baseball. I mean, you had pitchers throwing smoke. You had, it's like you had dynasties and stuff like that, and then the 50s when the color line was broke, the late 40s and 50s when the color line was really being abolished
Right.
because of Robinson.
Robinson
I
and Larry,
mean,
and Larry Doby in the American
Larry
League.
Doby, yeah.
Right.
Um, and then it's to learn about all of that and then see it played out. It's like I would go on YouTube and look up games from, say, the, for example, I looked at the 1945 World Series once, and I am honestly shocked that I found and it's the base classic BB on the radio channel.
I love
I
that channel.
actually, oh my God, I actually found a game from 1945. Actually, I think they go back further than that, if I'm not mistaken,
35's the
because,
earliest game I've seen on classic baseball on the radio.
oh my
Is that
gosh,
1935? No, wait, no. I think they have the 1934 All-Star game up there. I think,
I mean,
but they don't.
because
But they can't go back before 1921. And in fact, there wasn't that many broadcasts through the 20s yet. That was still very much in its infancy.
it was you that said that the Pirates were like the first radio
Well, the
broad,
KDKA was the first. Yeah, out of Pittsburgh, they did the very first baseball broadcast,
because
1921.
like I was listening to the Yankees Tigers game at Navon Field in
That's 1935. Yeah.
1934.
I
No,
think
it was
it's
34, but
I think it's
it said,
35. Either way.
but it was like Ty Tyson was calling it, and you could hear there were sounds of the crowd and
Oh
action
yeah.
of the field, but you could actually hear the ticker in the background.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Babe Ruth didn't play in that game that day, but it was cool to
no,
hear him announce Lou Gehrig though. Let me
Luke.
I'll
I
tell you
mean,
something though, and I didn't know if you were
yeah,
aware of this. So you were saying about being a child of the '90s and getting into this older baseball. Just to be
yeah.
clear, I'm not a child of the dead ball era. So
No, you ain't that old.
no, no, there's nobody in this room that would have been
No
alive at
one in
that
the
time.
room is
No,
that
that
old. I mean,
generation has been gone. That's the lost generation. The last World War One veteran died while I was still living back across the pond. But no, I mean my point is I think that it's good that here you are. You're a '90s kid, if you were, and you're going back more and getting a better sense of the game's history. So that at some point, like
shoot,
I know that you're watching the, like what we're doing with this KCCL tournament and
I
stuff like
love
that.
it.
But then, after a while, I mean, so you're going to know the usual suspects, like, Cobb and Wagner and Johnson and that. But then getting
Yeah,
into, other names, that you may not have known before, may not know yet, like Jimmy Dykes, for instance, or Hall of Famers like Zach Wheat, things like that, and to get that
yes,
sense of and then you realize you talk about that rabbit hole of baseball, then you realize how why and you are already anyhow that way. By the way, score 5-3 Cleveland over Chicago right now. There was a no hitter going through 3 innings, but that was dead. But it's just that how it's really really never ending, and I think that was one of that's one of the
is
things
that
that I
your diamond mine game you got going on
yeah,
there?
it's just going on in the background. And Big Clue said way back he likes the incongruity of what he's hearing as opposed to what's happening in the game on the screen. Go on, man. What you're
I
saying
mean,
though.
like, because every '90s kid, especially, likes to say, "Oh, nothing happened yet till I was born." Yeah, right. Go back and look. It's there. You just got to find it. I mean, baseball has been around since at least God knows when. I mean, back in the day when you would just hit a ball with a stick with your buddies in a sandlot.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like, um, I mean, yeah, when the strike happened, we had baseball movies to entertain us, like the Little Big League and Rookie of the Year and The
hmm
Sandlot, for crying out loud.
oh yeah,
Like I that's all we, and then of course we had our video games and things like that, so we would just sit and play like bases loaded for hours. Yes, those weren't licensed games, but yet we had imagination, so it was like, okay, here's blah
absolutely.
blah blah blah,
hmm
hitting number with so many homers and so many RBIs. I mean, you can I would watch my brother play MVP baseball '04 on the GameCube.
Hmm.
and get so mad if his Indians didn't the things didn't go the Indians' way during a game. Slam the controller kind of mad. I mean, I'm like, it's kind of it's funny and it's not because I'm like, dude, it's just a game. I mean, this is how much of a fan my brother is. I'll tell you, during the 16 World Series with the Cubs and Indians, um, we were talking while we were watching it, and every time the Indians would get something wrong, he would drop an F bomb at me. I'm like, dude, it's just a game. Yeah, it's a World Series, but for crying out loud, the Indians, I mean, they should have won that. I mean, was a 3-1 lead,
Hmm.
and they just could not put the Cubs away. I mean, then
Yeah.
again, the Cubs they wanted to break that curse of the Billy Goat, and they finally did. Though they did it on Jacobs Field or Progressive Field ground.
I still
But
wish that at the time before the curses were broken, and I think most baseball fans were dying for it, would have been a Cubs Red Sox World Series.
in '03, I would have gone for that.
Oh my God,
I
yeah, because
mean,
the Red Sox
the
hadn't
the
won since
battle of
1918, and the Cubs hadn't won since 1908.
1908.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
that would have been something.
then I mean, like it'd be like, okay, a curse dies this year, whether it's the Bambino or the Billy Goat
Right.
or the Black Cat if you're Ron Santo.
Hmm.
Um, like, but you read stories like that, and it's like I'm not superstitious by any means, but there are those that are. I
Now,
mean, it's
yes, you
like
are. You're a baseball fan. Every baseball fan is superstitious. Come on, Aaron.
I mean, it's like the Reds haven't made the playoffs since what 2013 when they were a wild card team, and they haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years.
Hmm.
And and then same with it's like the Astros cheat in 2017 or 2017, and they cleaned out the closet, so to speak. I mean, I was watching that series. I didn't know as much of a miss, really. I mean, you didn't hear any like trash cans or anything like that, like the. But I watched it. I'm like, the Astros just will not go away. That no matter what the Dodgers do, it's like they just kept on coming back, and it went all. I think it went all 7 games, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like the I always said, like a 4 game series can be boring because it's like 2 games off day, 2 games done, and then that's it for baseball for now. Now we got to wait till February of next year for spring train to start all over again. I mean, and then but a 7 game series is like we still got baseball to watch. I mean, until it's over, and then you just either you play video games all winter long, or you
You know what they did in the dead
our
ball era? In the
nope
wintertime? Indoor baseball.
indoor. They played indoors.
They
Yeah,
played indoor baseball during the dead ball era. Yeah. Isn't
I
that cool?
always I always knew that the barn like when some of the stars would barnstorm during the off season.
Hmm.
I didn't read it because it was Landis who stopped that. You know, um, because a lot of the guys were wanting to keep playing even though the season was over. But because I mean, I was reading about I read a lot about the what would happen if the Black Sox hadn't have thrown the World Series that year.
We do
And
Big Clue. Hold that thought. Yeah, so during wintertime we have to, well, I don't have to endure it. That's the beautiful thing about the times we live in, Big Clue. I don't have to endure
yeah,
that stupid game at all. I can play baseball all year, man.
yeah, you could just play baseball all
And
year
now with
long if you
and
wanted
now
to.
I feel so badly. I slept like all these years on MLB The Show because that thing is so damned immersive. Now I can watch baseball in the wintertime. Yay! So F ball
Yay,
can, well, I'm not allowed
screw
to say it
off.
on YouTube, am I? Anyhow, go ahead, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's
F.
just
I mean,
Big Clue
no, no,
chimed
you're
in with
good.
something good in there.
That was good. That was good. But like, I have so many baseball video games. It's like I could just play baseball all year long. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, the real season's over then, but it's like, so what? I got like RBI baseball 1 through 94 on computer plus the stinking what do you call it the I have MLB The Show. I've got Triple Play and MVP, both professional and college. They made a college baseball video game for crying out loud. Two of them.
Yeah.
Um, but like
Big
I even
numbers.
have what was it? Inside Pitch on the Xbox with Buck and the Fox, the OG, not the really OG, but the Fox baseball duo of Buck and the late McCarver for crying out loud. I mean, you know, like it's like we got baseball all year long, and we could do our own seasons and our own replays and our
Yeah,
own
it's good stuff.
idea. Like without the I'm still working on my '90s replay. I haven't done anything with it in a few weeks, but I've not given up on it yet. All I've got to do is reload it again.
Hmm.
But um the like it's not exactly accurate, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, it's like, okay, here's a generated schedule of games. Knock yourself out. Have fun with it. You
Hmm.
know, and it's like a team that sucked at a certain point can do good in a replay. It's like you said earlier, alt reality, your best player may not be the best player in the when you play that season again.
Hmm.
I mean, like for example, Barry Bonds may not hit 70 in 2001. He
Right.
may not be such a power threat like he was, or the Mariners may not win 100 and so many games that year. They may lose a bunch.
Hmm.
I mean, you don't know. I mean, but it's always cool to go back and say, hey, this is what could have happened or something like that. I
Right.
mean, but it's fun. I mean, it's like to say I've got baseball year round on like it has to be video games because well, you can watch them on YouTube. I mean, there's a bunch of that stuff. There's a whole gamut of games on YouTube you could find.
Oh, sure.
I mean, this is where you find baseballs doing like a lot of the stuff from when I was growing up. And past that, I mean, they're doing, but a lot of it's like from videotapes, and the quality of the audio isn't the best, but hey, it's just like they got them on, they got it. It's like how they record them on blank cassette tapes. I mean, and then of course, and I said this once before. I was listening to Game Three of the '63 World Series with the Dodgers and the Yankees, and it was Joe Garagiola and Ernie Harwell. But if you listen to the audio, it sounds like, I don't know if it's just a tape or what. It sounds like their voices have been enlarged
Hmm.
in some capacity. Ernie sounds a lot more deeper than he usually does.
Right.
Um, because I recorded a segment of audio one night, and I raised the pitch maybe by like a half step, and it sounded normal. I'm like, what's going on with that?
Hmm.
And then apparently they must have either it was the audio of the tape, or somebody had it was just like somebody had gotten a bad tape, and but still it still worked
Hmm.
or something.
Hmm.
Or like when what was it? Like with classic baseball, I can listen to like they got games from like you said the 30s to maybe the very early 80s.
It's something
Like
like that. Yeah.
yeah, because I was reading somewhere that in '63, Mel Allen, his when he was calling the game for, I think it was for Mutual, not Mutual, but when he was calling that game, he said
I
his
think it's
voice
funny
gave
that
out.
you were. I think it's funny that you were shocked that he was that that Mel Allen imbibed. Indeed, he did.
I was shocked that he drank. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I knew Harry Carey drank,
Well,
and I'm pretty sure
my cats know
everybody
that
knew
Harry
Harry
Carey drank.
Carey. Your
So
cats know Harry
yeah,
Carey drank.
yeah.
I mean, Harry Carey. I did not know that about Mel Allen at all. I always knew. I always thought he was he had sobriety for. I mean, but yeah, he had
But I mean,
apparently
well,
he
he
had very
wasn't like he wasn't like Bellato, like Harry Carey wasn't there, but I mean,
boozing it
no,
all
no,
the
no, it wasn't
time
like
or anything
that.
like that.
No, but he drank. He was
He may
good.
have had a beer every once in a while, but he,
Drinking's part of
you know,
baseball, man. It's drinking's part of
beer,
baseball.
beer and baseball just go together. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's like we would joke around with Joe Nuxall all the time. It's like he's got to go to the bar and have another beer or something
Yep,
like that. Or
yep.
like when the I'll tell you when the Cardinals won the '04 '04 NLDS with the Dodgers, they did like
Hmm.
a clubhouse celebration, and I remember Jockety, I think it was no, not Jock. It was either the Jockety or the general manager was like, "Can we get Mike Shannon down here to have a beer with us?" And then I think it was Dwayne Hagen who was doing the interviews. He goes, "Mike, you've been asked to come down to the clubhouse and have beer with the team." It's like, "Well, I'll be down there shortly." But
We're
that's like that.
we're getting a good. It's been a long debate because I have Diamond Mind up here in the background. So to describe it to you, Aaron, for obvious
Yes,
reasons. So Diamond Mind, there's no sound.
yes,
Um, it's when you would compare it to like like something I'm sure you can at least imagine what MLB the Show would look like, or even Out of the Park baseball, right? Bells, whistles, great graphics and sound and all that stuff. All the while we've been playing, there's I've already finished one game. Way back in the day, I play now we're playing like modern Cleveland versus Detroit, and all while we've been playing, there's a game going on, and so guys are watching it, and there's a really neat debate going on. I guess about about these about this game, and which is really interesting because it's this is a game that I've said many times just doesn't play well. I mean, so I'll give you an example. You ready? So I'm gonna call
yes.
this, and it's just like
All righty.
reading to people on a screen. Okay. So of
Yeah,
course I have this sped up a little bit, but here we go. All right. So Kenny Lofton, the batter. Morris gets the sign from Tettleton. Here's the 2-1 Morris offers. Inside fastball popped out to short right field. Higginson will have time to get under it. He does and gathers it in. The light rain is beginning to fall. So basically, it's just the play-by-play. You've got this field. You've got the you've got a photo of who's pitching and then who's a bat. You can go around here and double click on players and see their player cards and stuff like that. Um, but it's one of these games that's very Spartan looking. There's no bells and whistles, and yet it's an incredibly deep baseball simulation. And it just it and maybe it's because of the lack of bells and whistles, which is really interesting, right? Because I
yeah,
guess maybe when you're watching some guy like on YouTube rolling dice with a camera
yes.
pointed down, at least you're hearing the dice. With this game, you're not hearing anything, and I wonder if that's one
Right.
of the reasons why it just doesn't play
That might be
well.
it.
I mean, when I say play well, I'm talking about that in the show business sense, because it's a brilliant, brilliant baseball simulation.
That
It's
might be it.
yeah,
I mean,
it's such a great, great baseball game, and every time I go to do a broadcast, there's the little icon for Diamond Mine looking at me, sort of sadly, like
wanting you to click it.
it's like, come
Please click
on,
on me.
play me, but it
Play
just,
me.
but it's basically so as we're talking now, I'm going to go ahead and move ahead with the game without calling it.
You're good.
Is
You're
the
good.
guys are discussing, but they're all what's cool is they're watching the play-by-play on the screen, which is really really fun. So,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
getting
it's like the
immersed in the
images
game, and
is
it's
there.
almost like I just want to put a looping crowd sample on the back there, and I thought it would
Yeah,
be
be like,
fun with Diamond Mind, right? Is since I'm a musician, have some different things set up as I'm watching the replay and stuff. So I have like, of course, the bat sound hitting the ball, and if it's a base hit, if it's the home team, trigger
yeah,
a
oh
sample for the
yeah,
crowd. But then I realized if I did that, I'd have PC replay baseball, which
yes, you
has a
would.
few more bells and whistles, but oh man, the crowd samples are like bad in that. I thought Dombrov was bad, but oof.
That is I tried that. That is a shame
It's
that
a
that was not accessible.
oh, but
Is
that surprises me because I mean
I tried
it's a modern
that.
Windows game.
Yeah, I tried that the other day, and I could not do anything. I mean, it just would not. I could not get a game going. I could not navigate things.
Hmm.
I just couldn't do it. But with with Action PC, what was what was what was it? What's the fella's name that's blind like me who's trying to learn how to do
Joe Myrtle,
Joe
Joe Murdy.
Joe
Yeah, because he wants.
Murdy?
Yeah, so you guys need to hook up.
We got to get him in Discord, and then we can go from. I can get him in from there and show him how to do it because it's not really like you don't have to set lineups yourself, obviously, as you know,
No,
but
not for any of
you
these
know,
games really.
no, I mean like
And JT,
when
I
it comes to
agree. I'm sorry, JT. Yeah, Diamond Mine's play-by-play is just absolute top notch. I mean, this is the only text-based baseball game I've ever played, Aaron, that I'm watching the text, and it's sometimes it's like how they. I mean, it really can bring it. It's kind of like can be an edge of your seat experience because like there's one earlier where Kirk Gibson is out and he's like twisting around a ball to get to it. It's brilliant, brilliant play-by-play in this game. Anyhow, yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to keep with the chat and but also with you because you're very entertaining and of course we haven't heard
yeah,
Randy Savage show up yet, so I don't know,
yeah,
man.
don't forget the madness. Yeah, I mean, like I often wondered if like you could like somebody because Randy did try out for the what was it,
I
the
was
Reds and Cardinals
exactly.
though.
Yeah, he was in the minor leagues.
I wonder what league he was in because I'm pretty sure somebody out there for APA or maybe Action has. I don't know if you can do this in Action or not. I know you could do it in APA. Has the season he
Oh, and
or like
out
this
of the park baseball as well.
out
He's
of the park? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, because it has all the minor leagues. So Randy Savage is,
Um.
if he was actually played in a minor league roster, he'll be on that roster in out of the park baseball. And so would Chuck Connors, an actor who actually made it to the majors.
Chuck. I've heard about Chuck
Yeah,
Connors.
yeah, he actually played in the major leagues. Was played for the Dodgers for a little bit, the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I mean, yeah, he was. That's like.
The chat's going wild now with that Randy showed up. By the way.
Yeah. Like I saw that video of him talking to Marty and Joe in the Reds booth in
Who
1989
Randy Savage?
when yes,
Oh,
there is
really?
video of him. Yeah. He was in Cincinnati because the WWE was doing a show at the Coliseum in Cincinnati and it was a day obviously it was a day game.
Mm-hmm.
They had enough time to get to have him go to Cincinnati to go to the press box and sit like for like I think it might have been an inning, whatever it was. They were just kind of talking to him about his match that he had that night, but was going to have that night, and they were talking about him. You know, he mentioned Jimmy. I think Jimmy Wynn. I think because
The toy cannon.
Jimmy Wynn, Jimmy the Cannon, a toy cannon,
Yep.
and he's like he shook Joe Nuxall's hand like he knew him practically because I always wonder what an interview with Joe Nuxall and Randy Savage would be like.
Mm-hmm.
Evan, let's see. Well, Randy, you went 3 for 4 today with 2 doubles and a homer. How do you feel? Well, Joe, let me explain something to you. I
Keep it
walked
going.
up there today, the cream of the crop. Yeah, I had to. I was focusing in. You get. It was like I was focusing in on the pitcher, and I just saw it. It was 2 doubles. And then I said, I'm just going to call my shot, on that third at bat. Then, then I actually struck out, which is why it was 3 for 4. But then that last at bat, it was such a rout. Yeah, I just came out to the plate, I focused, and I nailed it. I knocked it out of the park. Yeah,
Oh my
like
God.
like it's like I used to read about like what would like because there's multi sport athletes, there's actors who tried to play ball. I mean, you said mentioned Chuck Connors. I
Uh-huh.
mentioned Randy Savage.
So
I
Johnny,
think
Johnny. So this would be just from history, but so
yes.
there was a player named Johnny Berardino who played for the Browns and he played for the Cardinals for a bit, but he actually made his career in soap operas. He was in General Hospital, so that's another person who ended up going into show business.
Wow.
Yeah, he played for the old St. Louis Browns, but he was on, I guess, some soap opera in the
He
'60s
was a
called
soap
General Hospital
soaps
or
person.
something. Yeah, how
My
about that?
granny loves soaps, but um, like it's I mean, you look at and no, I don't have a Deion Sanders fetish, but you look at guys like Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders or Drew Henson, for
Oh,
example.
don't get me started
That
on Bo Jackson because I'll honk off the chat about Bo Jackson.
fair enough, fair enough. Um, but yeah, like Michael Jordan, for example,
Ah,
though his
Michael
baseball,
Jordan. But his first love
yeah,
was baseball, even though he wasn't very good at it.
he
So,
could have kept on. He could have gotten better and kept on playing.
dude, he didn't go above 220 at Double A. Come on.
That's what, yeah. Like I think what was it? It was because of like basketball was like he was playing basketball a lot, but it was like nobody was. He said his first love was baseball, and like
Yes.
I saw it in Space Jam for crying out loud. He did an interview at the start of the movie. He's like, I want to go play baseball
Oh, I didn't know that
because as a
JT
kid,
Dutch. I'm sorry. Every once in a while, I don't mean to be like I hate to cut you off
you good?
sometimes, but like I get these cool comments. First, world's worst gamer. He says he wishes he hated sim baseball. He says played so many games, but yet still 50 plus games to go in his 1930 season. Make that double that because he's playing two teams. And then he says a 16 game NFL season is easier to deal with. JT Dutch says that he could be addicted to much worse than baseball and hockey sims. Absolutely. And he says something else here I didn't know. He says Wayne Gretzky's first love was baseball. I didn't know that. So
The
here you
great
have
one?
these, yeah. So you have these two great athletes in two other sports. And here's another one, Rocky Marciano. His first love was
Yeah,
baseball. But
I
he
do
couldn't
remember you
make he
saying
didn't
about
make it.
Rocky.
Yeah, but he could. Marciano couldn't. I guess apparently
He
weak
couldn't
arm,
hit.
which was funny when you think. Yeah, it's hard to think about Rocky Marciano as a weak throwing arm when he absolutely just obliterated people. But so Marciano, Gretzky, Michael Jordan. How about that? So
Yeah, like what was it? He was what was it? He was going to play. He auditioned for the was it not Brooklyn? Was it Brooklyn Dodgers or whatever it was? Or was it the Cubs? I
the
think it was,
Cubs. It was the Chicago
it
Cubs.
was the Cubs.
For
Yeah, and
Marciano, it was the
he had
Cubs.
a
Yeah. Hmm.
he had what was it like? He had a bad arm, but he could punch like crazy.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, that's like because I used to read a lot
Yeah.
about boxing back in the Yankee Stadium had a lot of fights.
Yeah, they did.
They had a lot of fight.
Yeah, it
They
did.
hosted a lot of fight. Like Yankee St. Wrigley Field had some too, actually, back in the day. But Yankee Stadium had a lot of good boxing matches back in the Joe Louis days. Um,
Hmm.
my grandfather, who is in his 80s now, is a big time boxing historian. I mean, he could tell me anything I wanted to know about the sport or anything about a certain fighter or something like that because he know like what a person might do on in the ring like a cut man or something like that could
Hmm.
just but
Right.
he could tell me like or what certain things aspects of a fight might be like the like what a judge might do what a
Right.
like he explained it all to me it's like but he could tell me anything about a certain fighter
To a
or
guy
like
in the community you want to talk two guys you want to talk
Al
boxing with, our Red Sox fan and Bleacher Bums Gaming, Anthony. Because
I
Bleacher Bums
watched one of
Gaming, he's the one that created Glory Days Boxing. So those guys, I mean, Al and Anthony, these guys are like walking boxing encyclopedias. And I love
I mean
hearing Al call a fight. It's like the real thing.
I
It's
watched one of
amazing.
those and
It's amazing.
I was like oh my god get him
Oh
just
yeah,
beat the
Al
hell out
gets
of him
it. He knows his boxing like Ken
it's
Castro, like everybody else here knows baseball. I mean, Al's knowledge of boxing is crazy, but he's
I
good,
used to
and he's
I
got the
used to
voice
watch
for it. He's got the voice for doing
yes
boxing too.
Al Resnick's got the voice for boxing. Chris Slovak has the voice for baseball. As
Yeah,
far as like, you know,
Oh, there's some
it's like,
damn fine broadcasters on here. I'll tell you who else is good is Legends. He's got a very laid back delivery. I've only ever heard him do baseball. I mean, because these guys do other the lesser sports as well. Oh, we have a rain delay here at the
uh-oh.
Tiger Stadium. Yeah, but anyhow, um, but he has kind of a chill delivery, but it's really good. I like it. Chris Slovik to me sounds like oh my God, who was it? I'm trying to think of the name of the broadcaster, but like on like we'll just say lots of coffee or stimulants. And Chris
The
has got that old school sound to really like hearing him
yes.
call a game too. He's really good. And Ron Juckett's good. Juckett's got that kind of thing going on too. These guys are good broadcasters. I think my favorite in terms of straight up voice for baseball has to be Chris though. Chris
Right. I
Slovik. I
mean,
think that's no knock on the other guys. I just love the way Chris calls a game. He's real good.
but yeah, like, um, you know, like my girlfriend loves to listen to me try to outcall the narrator in Action PC. I mean,
Oh right.
she loves to like watch a like I was showing her Apple one day on Skype, and she goes, I see the players, but they're really small.
On Appa.
Like, yeah, an
Oh,
Apple.
did you
She's
tell
like,
her that? Yeah. So that's just this is the play. That's just like a photo, right?
those are just photos, but like she goes, I see the action and things, but it's all small, even if the screen's bright.
Right.
Like she goes, is there a way you can fix that? I said, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I
I
mean
mean,
that's more about the that game's about the audio and does it well. It's
yeah,
it's that game.
I
It
said, baby, just listen to it. You don't have to see anything. Just enjoy the game.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
you might get it done in less than an hour, but
you know what? It's glitchy. People, and I had one guy come in here the other night, and I kind of dressed him down a little bit. Oh, I just don't like this. It's like when I don't come in. But you know what? I look at it. It's an excellent baseball game. And in terms of presentation, it whoops the living crap out of Strat PC, and
oh,
it's glitchy. But you know what? It seems like people will like they'll see the glitches in Appa Baseball, but they don't see them in MLB The Show, and that one's glitchy too. It is, man. That's a glitchy game. You, yeah. There's some
I
glitches
saw a
going
guy.
on. It's more
I
video
had a
glitches, but
yeah,
it's almost as glitchy video wise because like you'll see like and again, I mean, I please pardon my the way I'm explaining this to you, obviously, because for
you
you
get
you wouldn't, but you know what I'm saying. But one of the
right.
things you'll see in or in MLB The Show is right, fielders will be running right big like covering like a quarter of like going from let's say center field into right center, and they stop on a dime. And I mean, it
It's
kind of
stop. Yeah,
yeah. So and to me, it's like okay, that's like an Ernie glitch, but it's still a great game. And
I mean,
but I find that baseball for Windows is it really kind of for some people they really love it, and others they're just like, and I love it. I'll keep playing it on this channel even if I'm just the only
I
one
get
sitting here
that.
watching
I
it.
get that whole
And
like,
for you, it's
ask.
perfect if you don't mind my saying, right? Because the
Oh
thing where I
man,
feel badly for you, Aaron, is when I'm doing MLB The Show, and you'll say, "Oh, who's
yeah,
number 21?" I've got to tell you. Whereas with Ernie, you can just sit back and you don't have to worry about that.
yeah. It's
So,
like I said, I had the previously installed 04 and the previously installed. I don't have many. They're not installed on my main drive anymore because I don't. The names are the vernacular isn't fully there.
mhm.
But it's like the with going up to 97. It's like okay, this is I know who this guy is because Ernie's saying it, and it's like yes, it's in one pitch mode, but
Mhm.
who's gonna sit here and listen to pitch by pitch completely in a PC game for you'd be there for over 3 hours
Well, but
almost.
MLB The Show does it well, and games are usually about an hour and 20 minutes. We were talking about the play-by-play.
Yeah,
And so this is just a little example of why Diamond Mine just does it amazingly. Okay. So if you look at, like, say, PC Replay Baseball, right? It's just going to be basically what you're going to, it's going to describe it as a fly out to left. Okay. Here's how Diamond
Right.
Mine does it. Okay, Franco standing in. Robinson eyes loft, and the payoff pitch well hit, very deep to left field. Going back is Gibson. He slips and stumbles. He stays with it and pulls it in. A nice play out there by Gibson after losing his footing on the wet grass.
It's like
That's
a vivid description.
yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. It's excellent. It's Diamond Mind has always been known for this brilliant play-by-play, and I don't know whether I don't. Unfortunately, it doesn't have. I don't think this has a Microsoft narrator with it. I've never looked because I hate the Microsoft narrator, but I should
Yeah.
check into that for you. The problem with the game is the seasons are expensive, um, and they never these guys like sales. It's like you have to buy two to get one. They're kind of like PC Replay Baseball. They don't have sales. They've kind of allowed the game to be sort of in maintenance mode. So where you see like
Oh
Action
man.
PC is updated every year. I mean MLB The Show obviously, Out of the Park Baseball. Everybody else is updated, and this one is kind of just in maintenance mode, and it's kind of sad because
Oh
it's
man. They
a
could do
this
so
is
much with.
I wish I could just describe to you, I mean, really how great Diamond Mine Baseball is. It's
I mean,
phenomenal. It's a phenomenal game.
you know,
And like so
and
all
tech.
the things that Steve Tate talks about you can do in Action PC
Yes.
baseball, you can do in this game.
Wow.
Everything.
That's insane.
Everything. Yeah,
I
you can
mean,
create players, edit players. It's basically yeah, it's this incredible baseball sandbox that's just got this brilliantly, just great. ESPN used to use this to like forecast, predict seasons and stuff like that. And of course, you do it without with human interaction, and you could run like thousands of simulations on this thing, and it's damned accurate. And JT Dutch here in the chat is a huge Diamond Mine fan. And yet
I
there's
mean,
I just checked their website the other night saying, okay,
yeah.
finally, come on guys, tell me you're coming out with something amazing, or there's a huge update, and it was just a little incremental update to the program, and it's like
There wasn't anything to it.
well, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
only because I don't know whether they don't have the like I'm not sure what the deal. So Imagine Sports owns um, Diamond Mine Baseball, and since it seems to me, at least that since they've acquired it, it's kind of gone into this sort of maintenance mode. So there will be like so I'm playing version 12 right now, but I have version 11 installed on my computer so that when I find seasons out there I want to get that might be some home brews. Again, this is an official product I'm playing right now. That you have to like up you have to. So if I find a version 10, pardon me, Diamond Mine, I have to bring it into version 11 and then to version 12. So that's why I always tell people if you get Diamond Mine, keep one earlier version installed on your PC. But it's a great baseball game. But again, just doing it on YouTube would be pretty much just reading what everybody else could read on the screen, and there's no,
yeah.
as you can tell, there's no crowd. I mean, now you're on
No
Discord,
crowd.
so if I was doing an Action PC game, you wouldn't hear the crowd either. But if you turn up your YouTube, you would just hear us talking. There's no crowd. The
No
animation,
crowd. No sound.
this does yeah, it's the same type of sort of animation as Baseball for Windows does it. It's just player labels that just so right now Kenny Lofton's on first. If he would go to second, that little marker would just bleep and go to second, just the way Baseball for Windows. So there's everything going against it, and yet it's a great baseball game.
I
So
mean,
like yeah, so JT Dutch even says here that they update for the recent rule changes in baseball, shift and everything like that, and they don't even use them. And he's right. And they if I had Robbie always talks about he'd buy baseball for Windows, but Appa's doing fine. But if I had the
they
money,
are.
I would say, you know what, I'm taking over this game. And you know what, I'd add some bells and whistles to this thing. And it's like just because it's sad that it just doesn't get even with no sound. And I don't mean to honk off because it's nothing personal. This is a better game than Strat PC by far, and yet
Right.
everybody plays Strat PC, right? So many people will play Strat PC, but they won't touch a Diamond Mine. I think there's, I don't know. I think besides JT, I think Big Clue is a Diamond Mine fan. I think there's only like three of us in here, and Ken Castro. This is the only PC game he'll tolerate for baseball, and it's so good. Yeah, JT Dutch saying if he won the lottery or whatever, he would definitely buy Diamond Mine and have it upgrade. It does need upgrading. I mean, because for as it, the thing about it is you can see when it was designed and things like that. Um, and it really does because people, if you would look at say you look at a game like this and you look at out of the park baseball, and if this was on Steam, this wouldn't even get noticed on Steam except for hardcore baseball grognards like we have in here would be like, yeah, I'll pick that. Like the same people that are buying Digital Diamond Baseball, right? Not as many people are getting Digital Diamond Baseball on Steam as are um, getting Out of the Park, because Out of the Park has, you know, despite what World's Worst Gamer feels they're kind of shit graphics, but they're actually very good graphics, and it's got the sounds, and it's a very very good thing. Very good
Yeah,
baseball engine that runs in it. What this has going is an extremely great baseball engine, but it's just this is like just for hardcore baseball fans only who, again, I can play this game. It doesn't bother me that there's no sound, but it makes me sad that I can't do it on the channel because it just doesn't work, unfortunately.
yeah. It's like with Appa, it's like I could just put a game on and
Mhm.
go and make something to eat and have Ernie in the background. It's like we were like I was when I was in Louisville with my friends I was hanging out with. We were working on something, and I just put Ernie on in the background. It's like we got a ball game back there, but it's just in the background. You could do other. It's
Mhm.
like, you know, and the cool thing I've learned to do, and I just started doing this recently, was I would print like the scripts for a game to a file and read it, and it's like it's exactly how Ernie spoke
Mhm.
in the game, except for he doesn't read like the Maddox faces so and so
Well,
what
the
and what the
reason
counter
why
is.
Ernie's, and this is as a musician, I can answer this for you. But let
Yeah,
me ask JT Dutch, and he's right. Out of the Park has a lot of money backing it, even more so since that company bought them out. He says if you can afford an MLB license, you have some solid financial backing, and they do. They're owned by a Korean company now that's like this huge, right? So they can do that, and they can keep developing. Diamond Mine, they don't have this kind of backing. I mean, there's Action PC.
wow.
Of course, the way Action PC gets around it, and Baseball for an APA did it, is you can use city names. But like so right now, like this is I could go in and change this to Cleveland Indians, Detroit Tigers, but this says Cleveland 5, Detroit 5 as far as their names. And that's because I don't know if you ever caught that stream that I did about comparing some all-time great uh, franchise files through with different baseball games. This one has the most unique. So this is an all-time great franchise file that I'm playing. But what that five after these teams means is this is the fifth sort of all-time franchise team that there is. So that you do get some outliers, but so you're just getting. And I could look at these. I showed the guys on that other video, like when there's a thing you can look up to see who's on this team. So there's not like for this Cleveland Indians team that's labeled number 5. So Napoleon Lajoie is not on this team. Lou Boudreaux's on this team. This is like modern Indians versus modern Tigers, and I've never ever seen anything like that. And I think this has the coolest. It has the coolest all-time thing. But what I wanted to tell you about Ernie Harwell, the reason why his voice seems higher when he's doing a game in Baseball for Windows as opposed to hearing him do interviews is because the technology they're using is partially sound samples, so they have to compress that to save space. So there's a compressed when you do that sample, you actually right they compress it. And it's actually it's when you it will make the voice seem higher, raises the frequency. It's exactly why Ernie sounds like Ernie, but not the same as when he's talking. It has to do with the technology
He does sound like himself though, at
because
least. I mean,
I mean he does, but you got to remember that back in 1994 when Baseball for Windows came out, um, if you had and you're going to laugh at this, But if you had a 1 gigabyte hard drive, that was like rare. That was huge. People were
Yes.
just like, "Oh my God, that's a crazy amount of
That's a
space."
so much crap on there.
Right?
I
Yet,
mean,
I mean, I'm looking at the footprint of a game here, an ARPG called Walson. And this thing has a 50 gigabyte footprint on it. There's another one that I have, King Arthur: A Knight's Tale. That's really, really dark. It's a very dark Arthurian RPG, whatever. 150 gigabytes. So the game is 150 times larger than the largest hard drive when they came out. So, and it used to the original version of Baseball for Windows when they introduced Broadcast Blast in version 3. Actually, it had to stream off a CD because there wasn't just nobody had
wow.
the heart because it comes out to like it's like 4 or 5 gigs. So they had to compress space. So that's why Ernie sounds a little different. Is it has to do with the if it was that game was done today, what if they did that with the broadcast? Which if you listen to MLB the show, right, right, so Singleton and Shambi they sound normal, right? That's what
Yeah,
their voices
they're not.
because yeah, because PlayStation 5s and PCs have huge hard drives now, so you can
Yeah, they're not digitized
right,
or
you don't
anything
have to
like
do
that.
that. Yeah. I mean, well they are. They're
I
still
mean,
sampled, but also back then and again as a musician back then, the best that you had at that point was the infancy of 16-bit sampling, right? So now industry standard is 24-bit and going any higher is pointless because the human ear can't go beyond that. So these guys are at 24-bit, and because you have all this hard drive space, there's no need to compress everything that Ernie did. And he was, and I forget how many hours. I mean, 8 hours a day. I forget how long it actually took him to do that. It was an
I'll,
insane
I'll kind of,
amount.
I'll tell you something that
So that's why it's
there,
glitchy, and people are a little unforgiving in that. It's like it's 1994. Nothing
it
was
was the
like that.
technology of the time.
And the
I
game
mean,
remembers. So I've been playing the game long enough, that like you get into the 80th game of the season, Harwell will
yep.
refer to a game that was maybe 25 games ago. It's extremely brilliant. It's
Early in the season,
yeah.
this happened.
Oh yeah. He
I've
will.
heard
He'll
that
remember that.
actually.
Yes.
I
And
mean,
but all people say, "Oh, but it's glitchy. It doesn't sound real." Well, no. I mean, Ernie Harwell's
of
dead.
course not. It
He's
doesn't have to
he's
because it
dead,
was
and
the,
if he was actually doing the broadcast now, I'd be scared shitless.
oh God.
Oh
Like,
my God.
so there is a way, and I have a program that lets me like listen to like with, for example, like with Game Boy Advance games,
Right.
for example, and I'm thinking way out of the box. There's like a file if you like load the file. I have a program called Gold Wave. If you
Yeah.
load the file in Gold Wave and skim through it enough, you can hear sounds from the game.
Mhm.
Whereas with Appa, the Harwell folder in there has it's got the files that has every one of Ernie's numbers, team names, and city names, player names, and any messages in like I think it's a weird file format, but you can add it, put it on go in the Gold Wave.
Mhm.
And what I did was I took those files, copied them onto a into a blank canvas
Mhm.
because you can do that, and then I pasted them into a blank like a blank file, and then I saved it, and I looked. It's like almost 6 hours long.
Mhm. Pretty crazy.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah,
here.
he did.
Yeah.
It's almost 6 hours long when
Mhm.
you listen to him do every single line he ever recorded, plus all that the numbers, the names, and everything.
Oh yeah.
Then you end it with all of his messages and stuff.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like it's almost 6 hours long. I'm
I'm
like,
I'm still
no wonder
hearing
he was exhausted.
I'm still hearing stuff in Appa and Baseball for Windows that I've been playing this game for a long time, and
Yeah,
I heard something the other night. I'm like, I've never heard him say that. Anyhow, we're gonna start to wrap this up. So
sure.
the whatever iteration Cleveland Indians here, modern Cleveland, just absolutely destroyed the Tigers 11-0. 11 runs, 15 hits, no errors.
Damn,
Ooh, yeah, yeah, it was a nasty one, so the Tigers never had a chance. But
it was Ugly.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, Aaron, for coming on,
Appreciate it.
because I think we're kind of hitting the point where people are getting bleary-eyed and stuff like that. I don't blame them, but
It's about 2 a.m. here on the east
yeah,
east east on the Eastern Time Zone
absolutely. We're gonna have you
land.
back on. Again, doing some commentary. We'll pick I'll pick something in
Ooh,
out of the park baseball or
yeah.
something that you're gonna feel more comfortable with, rather than going back into the musty, dusty dead ball era or something. Maybe for
Oh,
you, we'll replay the 1990 World Series or something. I don't know, and you can do some color commentary. It'll be fun.
I did say I wanted to check out of the park in the flesh, though I have been watching it, and it's really interesting because it's like you know, it's so. I mean, action is great. I mean, I just did my first APB video APC video a few
Oh, Action PC Baseball, superb.
yes
Absolutely.
days ago, and you know, my girlfriend was like, I watched that, but I didn't see the I only saw you, and it felt like your lips were moving. I was like, well, I was talking to the game.
Oh, you got to fix up. You got to fix up. Um,
OBS.
OBS, yeah, because it is, yeah, we see you in the stream, not the game.
Yeah, she saw me. I'm like, I think I know how to, because I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be seen direct. I may want to be seen at the beginning, but once the game's going, I'm like, I don't want to be seen after that. It's like, just show me
Yeah,
I think I know, but
we'll
like,
get it figured out.
yeah.
So indeed,
But
big, sexy, dominated. Bartolo Colon pitches a four-hit shutout and gets 11 runs in support in this game.
look out for Cologne. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Aaron, we'll get you on soon this week.
Sure.
Tomorrow night, I hope to. Tomorrow night, we'll resume the KCCL, and it's gonna
The
be. Oh, it's
Ken
gonna be the.
Castro.
Yeah, so tomorrow's going to be the war, the continuing war between the 1885 White Sox and the 1894 Orioles. Those games have been
Oh
those
my.
games have been like akin to Civil War battles. I mean, just crazy. And I mean the
I
big
kind of
ones.
hope that game goes on for a while, honestly. I
Well,
mean,
it's kind of fun because last night or the other whenever I did it, Friday night, the
ye-
1884 Grays, they were facing elimination from the 1912 White Sox, and they won a game, so they're still in there. But the White Stockings look like they may eliminate the Orioles, so tomorrow night should be an interesting game. So I want to
oh
give my
man.
thanks to JT Dutch, to World's Worst Gamer, um, as we go back and channel our inner Chris Berman. Can you do Chris
Back,
Berman?
back, 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 back. God.
There we go. Cousin Ken Castro, um, Big Clue. Thank you guys for coming in. And again, this is one of those long streams, so we're not going to get everybody, unfortunately.
Right.
MV,
You're probably
thank
gonna
you.
miss some people.
Yeah, absolutely, I will, because YouTube cuts it off after a while. So yeah, MV
Yep.
by way of all the places he's lived. Sports Time Machine, Mr. Utah Mike, excellent channel. Um, Clinton Parks was here for a little while with us, which was really, really nice. John DFW, our thanks always to him for his great work on the Discord. Appreciate it. Christopher Slovic, Dave Little, thank you so very, very much, guys. I think we got
Indeed.
everybody. Yes, we did. Well, at least up to when World's Worst Gamer says his favorite all-time would be doing a league with base teams, including with Micro League Baseball. So you can tell how far we were already past the replays versus what ifs. So,
The debate. We've gone past the debate now.
oh yeah, yeah. So, all right, guys. So we'll see you around the batting cage for KCCL. I'm thinking for any of you following the Howie Shanks link, MV will probably be doing something during the day. And I've been giving MLB the show a break. I'm going to give it another break tonight. But that will be back.
the
Probably not every night of the week anymore, but maybe bring it back like, maybe once, twice a week. I know people enjoy that as a kind of way to unwind at the end of the day, a little MLB the show. So
the
look for that to get back on the channel.
KCJCL, the
And then
Ken
out
Castro Juicy Corn League.
and then out of the park baseball, going to be doing a couple of different World Series. 1915,
Ooh.
1971, and then we get Aaron on here. We'll do 1990. And then also, after all of this, and believe me, it has nothing to do with it. You'll see parts of it on the channel every once in a while. It's going to be a replay of the 1934 St. Louis Cardinals Gas House Gang. Just
Ah,
cause,
yes, the Gas
just
Housers.
cause, Dizzy and Daffy and Pepper Martin, the wild horse of the Osage, and Ducky Joe Medwick, and um, just one of my favorite
You had
baseball
Dizzy,
teams of all
Daffy, and
time.
Ducky on the same team.
There you go. Dizzy, Daffy, and Ducky. You gotta love it. Yeah. So they
Sound
were
like
well,
the
they were
Looney
so
Tunes
they were so
almost.
emblematic of, because I mean America was so deep in, well, the world really. I mean, but deep in depression, and the St. Louis Cardinals really kind of, I think a lot of people kind of identified with these guys. They weren't because even the Yankees back then were they were the elite, the posh Yankees. And you had these guys out there with grubby uniforms. You had these two,
Danky looking
you had
uniforms.
Dizzy and Daffy Dean, who, I mean, it was just, they
What was his
really,
real name? Paul?
yeah, it was, well, Jerome Dean was Dizzy and Paul Dean was Daffy.
Jerome and Paul. Then you had Daffy Joe.
Joe Medwick,
You
whose
had, no, you
nickname
had
was
Ducky Joe
Ducky.
Medwick.
Ducky, and you had Pepper Martin, whose nickname was Wild
Pepper,
Horse of the Osage.
Wild Horse
And actually,
of the
Pepper Martin,
Osage.
so he had like two nicknames, right? Yeah, so you had great, JoJo White. There's just excellent teams. And the Tigers, of course, great teams that year. So, 1934 season is one that interests me, and
Of
I don't
course.
ever remember seeing any 1930s baseball and YouTube. So that was kind of deciding. Well, instead of trying to do a 1930s what if, um, so just occasionally there'll be a 1934 game, but most of that will be played offline. But I hope people will
Yeah.
enjoy it and learn a little bit about some Depression era baseball. There's some
Shoot. I mean, we
excellent
needed something
baseball.
to,
Well, I
you
mean,
know.
I mean, for a lot of people, a lot of times the only thing they got to eat that day was the hot dog at the ballpark.
Yeah,
During
because we needed
1934.
some kind of relief from not being able to work or not being able to make money. We just or not having anything to eat at home. We would
Yeah.
go to the ball. They would go to the
Thank
ballpark
you,
and just eat a
JT.
hot dog. That's all they had.
Really.
I mean, I read about the Great Depression
Yeah.
in history class,
It is a time
and
indeed. So World's Worst Gamers just realized this show I really need to do more what ifs. Well, whichever you do, guys, whether you do season replays, you do what ifs, somewhere in between, you do both. Just enjoy what you're doing, because to get deeply philosophical here for a minute, this is the only life we have. If the faiths are right that there's an afterlife, then there's an afterlife, and where we spend it is where we spend it. If some of
take it easy,
the
Dutch.
belief systems out there say that there is no afterlife, okay, you're done, you're blinked out. Or if the faiths who believe in reincarnation are correct, anything, all those things have one in common. This life that you're living now, as you uh, listen to Aaron and me, and you're staring at Diamond Mine bleary-eyed in the screen. This is the only life you
Yeah,
have, so have fun with it. Roll what you like, digital what you like, replays or what ifs, and be safe and have fun. And we will see you around the batting cage, guys. Thank you so much. All right,
ciao
and
for
good
now,
night.
everybody.
All right, and Aaron, I'm going to go ahead and cut us off too, bud. Thank you so much. We'll get you on again.
Yeah, man, appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you later.
That
Okay, bye. All right, and good night, everybody.